Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday afternoon. It's been a good Sunday or Saturday afternoon here. Getting our gotten our first little snow flurry of the season. So it's kind of a chilly November day, and I figured why not? Let's do something different. Let's do an afternoon Saturday podcast. We're also going to be doing live call-ins. The link's in the description. I will also post it here in a little bit in the live chat. Feel free to call in if you like, if you wish to join. I'm also going to add the link to the Minds Gathering app, so you can come over, join us, join us also there if you don't want to call in. It's going to be fairly open topics. There's a lot of things to discuss. I've talked about a few things in my morning commutes, or the daily commute is what it's called. I do one in the morning and one in the evening, once a week, which I'm trying to do once a week. Sorry for the audio for the last one. I didn't realize my Bluetooths weren't connected to the phone. Because I'm still learning to navigate the actual phone app for Jitsi. Coffee. Yeah, we got Crown Peach going on. We don't need no more. We don't need coffee. It's the afternoon. It's time for some adult libations, as Kaiser would say. Trust me, after the chili I made in the slow cooker, because I woke up around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, decided, well, yeah, I've been craving some chili, and had already bought all the ingredients this week to make it. Man, wow. That's by far some of the best chili I've ever ate. I'm amazed I made it. I mean, all morning long, that's all. The smell alone, it was like, man, I had to leave because it had to cook for 8 hours. So, but man, it was worth the wait. Let me tell you. Now I've got enough chili to feed an army, and it's just me right now. Know what I'll be eating the rest of the week? That's okay. There's plenty of other things I can make. With it, I've got some potatoes, we got chips, salsas, and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna make that chili last for a couple weeks, for a week anyway. Not even that; it'll be gone by midweek. I'll have something to eat when I get home from work or before I go to work, which never happens. By the time I wake up, it's hurry up, pack the lunchbox, get dressed, brush the teeth, brush my hair, and out the door for a 2 hour drive. I average. That's why I sleep so long. I sleep my Fridays. I just sleep it away. That's why I get up like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the mornings on Saturday night or Saturday morning, because I'm getting 4 or 5 hours sleep max Monday through Thursday. Oh no, you don't have to worry about that. I remembered to add the baking soda. Not gonna have to worry about striking a match. Little secret to you make chilies or make chilies or beans or any type of stuff. Just add a pinch of baking soda. That'll settle everything down. Don't have to worry about any excess gas later on afterwards. Man, what a week! There's so much to talk about. So many things that's happened, that are happening. those that have been following the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that has been a joy to watch this week. But we also know next week it's going to be turned over to the jury. It's one of those things. It's been so politicized that it's not funny. I mean, let's keep it real. I made a comment somewhere, I can't remember where, I've been up for a while, to somebody that, no, I actually talked about it too this week. I think it was this week. Who's to blame, really to blame? For the last couple of years, let's keep it real, a lot of these protests would have never happened. That's just fact. And so many of these cases that get mainstream, lame attention, they're glorifying criminals as victims. That's the truth. But the worst part of it is they're not only glorifying them, when they report their so-called fake news, their entertainment, which tell the truth, because they are all MSN, CNN, Fox, they're all listed as entertainment. I don't find it too entertaining, to be honest with you. But they spread so many lies. They tell you a narrative that is false. Maybe a little truth here and there. Just like this week, when CNN decided to do their little hit pieces, how they show testimony, but they clipped it. They didn't play the whole thing, to where if you would actually listen to the whole thing, you would have heard the truth. You would have heard dude admitting that, yes, he didn't shoot until I raised my gun. But then no, they made it so, by clipping the sections out of it, they made it sound like, Rittenhouse, or the guy that was on testifying, was a victim when he was a criminal. Carrying and concealed without a carry concealed permit, which he did have one, but it had expired and he had failed, and knowingly admitted that, well, yeah, it was expired, I didn't renew it. So therefore, he was illegally carrying a weapon. It's been an interesting court case. The way they blasted it, oh my God, the assistant prosecuting attorney, the way that judge reamed him, that was priceless. But there's so much going on. We had the fifth federal courts in certain states make rulings this week on OSHA and Biden's vaccine mandate, saying it's unconstitutional. And putting a hold on the vaccine mandates. Okay, I'm just waiting for you to join me. Yes, I know my microphone's noisy. It picks up everything. I still haven't got this Yeti completely dialed in yet. I will eventually, when I set up the other room, our spare room. It's going to be her little workout area, my little den for doing videos, podcasts. And when her kids are over, it'll be their room. But there's a lot of interesting topics and stories to discuss. many of which I haven't really been following. So your guys' insight would be awesome. My chat's always open and available. Feel free to chat along. I'll follow it as you go. Yes, I'm actually at home now, so that's the only thing that sucks about the daily commute. Which doesn't suck. It's a good thing because I got to drive and paying attention to chat, driving. Probably not a good idea, right? I think we can all agree on that one. But I miss it because I love the interaction. But now, like I said, stated probably like daily commute, I think. It might have been Sunday. I don't know. I can't remember. 10-hour days, things just start blurring together after a while. But I love the 4 10-hour days. I love having these 3-day weekends when I'm not working overtime, which I finally said no. He looked at me. He's like, wow, you never say no. I'm like, I'm burnt out. 370 plus hours of overtime this year. It's not worth it. And a 2-hour commute to move. He goes, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. He's like, yeah, I can see how you're tired. You need that extra day. I'm like, yeah. Oh, I'll check with you next week. I'm like, gonna be the same answer. And it's hard to say no to that man. Obviously, I've only said no to him twice. But there's stuff going on over in Poland that I'm just slowly starting to look into or seeing. I've heard about it a couple days ago, and I just haven't really. I don't have time anymore to really. I'm focused on one thing. I gotta stay focused on it. I just don't have the time like I used to jump around to all these different things. I see what I'm following. Something catches my eye, I'll look into it. That kind of caught my eye today, and I was briefly skimming it, but I can't really talk on it because don't got much information. But if you guys do, feel free to give me a call. Like I said, the links are in the description of the video. I will share them here in the chat, live chat here in a little bit. But we are, since I know this is being broadcast on several sites right now, so you guys are all welcome to join in. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll discuss. You don't have to be a subscriber to this channel to join in on the fun. And technically, you're not going to actually view it here on YouTube anyway. Other than to get your live chat, to get your call-in information. If you join me, you'll be joining me over on the Mines. So, but you don't have to join the Mines to actually enter the app. So that's the cool thing about this. It's actually what I like. I like everything that they've got set up because it's the best of all the things a lot of us streamers look for. And I love it because I can say whatever the hell I want. I can post my feeds, comment on people's stuff, and not worry about getting censored, community guidelines strikes, put on timeout like I'm a child for exercising my right to freedom of speech. And that's another topic I want to get into. Freedom of the press. The FBI overstepping their boundaries and leaking James O'Keefe's some of his information they obtained from his phone to, what was it, the New York Times, I believe. And it's interesting. I kind of touched on this a couple times this week. The Kyle Rittenhouse case. The FBI was there. They interviewed everybody the police and the courts has interviewed. got statements from. They had a drone or footage from a drone that they obtained. And there was talk that they were actually doing surveillance. A lot of things. They've had their hands in all this stuff, but it seems like they just can't be trusted anymore, honestly. Especially after what they did to James O'Keefe. I mean, I'm not a fan. I've always been. He does great stuff. It's just not the type of journalism I'm a fan of. I've never been a fan of that ambush, dirty tactics type things. But I don't condone it either, because as the old saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and he's brought a lot of things to light. I just don't agree with that. But with that said, how's that go? The action justifies the means. Because we're placed in situations where all these dirty little things he's exposed. It comes to a point where if he wouldn't have done that, most of us guessed, we knew. But at the same time, there's no accountability anymore. I mean, seriously, most of the violence and destruction of property during these protests, so-called protests, were sparked and fueled by the mainstream media. And that's the truth. Through their lies, fueling the fire, people hanging on every word they say and not realizing they're entertainment. They're not truth anymore. They're not journalists. They're actors. That includes everyone from Fox. I know that makes people mad. But they're not. They're politically biased, one-sided, and that's not what we need. We need the truth as it is. We need not just one side of the story, but both sides of the story. Call me old-fashioned, or what you will, but true reporting is reporting the facts, but also reporting both sides of the story so people can articulate their own opinions and views. And let's not get me started on Congress. Because I'm sure if I get started down that little cesspool, and I've been trying not to drop the F-bomb, keep the swearing to the very minimum. Yeah, I've been slightly failing, but I'm getting better. I know a lot of people, it turns them off, Hey, but it also goes back to what I said, it's my free speech. It's my freedom of expression. I tried to be respectful, though. And that's the thing. We should be respectful of each other. And I try to be from time to time on this channel. So let me go ahead and drop these links in the chat so I can almost said ramble on. This ain't rambling of the chaotic mind. It might as well be. That's what I'm going to be doing, rambling, waiting for people to call in. See if we can't get some interesting topics going. Waiting for Bree to hurry up and get her coffee and join me. Way over there. There's the dial-in number, and give me a second. I'll get you the. If you want to actually join the live stream and join me and Bree whenever Bree decides to pop in. Here's the actual Minds link. That'll take you right to my group on the Minds, right straight to the Gathering app. Like I said, you don't have to be a member. Don't have to join the Minds. It'll just link you right straight to my Gathering app. Hello, stranger. Thought I was slow motion today. Maybe. Somebody forget to plug in the microphone. Then we'll let her get her technical issues taken out of the way. I definitely don't have no room to talk about technical issues when I forgot to connect my Bluetooth. Thought it was connected. I swear I hit connect, did everything, but I was in such a hurry after getting out of the gas station because I was running late, which I didn't mention in the podcast. But yeah, I was running late. I didn't want to get out of bed. It was my last night, so I was like, man, I don't want to get up. It's only been 4 hours of sleep. Boy, I'm not used to this time change though, so I'm not used to leaving at night. I'm used to being, getting dark as I get to work. That was a little shocking. It's like, man, interstate driving at night. Ooh, fun. Guess they're calling for like an inch of snow tonight in Ohio, so hopefully that melts by the time I go back to work Monday night. I'm not ready for that yet. I love the cold. I love seeing the snow flurries. Not quite ready for a couple inches of snow for my daily commute. But she must really be having some technical issues. Or she spilled her coffee on things. But no, like I said, it's open topics. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about. Like I said, there's some things I haven't been following, so you can educate me. Get me up to date on some things. Like I said, we got the call-in number posted, or if you want to join me from the Minds, that's posted, or you can just chat along in the chat. Sure that's not operator error? I guess I'm in one of those moods today too, so. Obviously, if anybody's seen one of my Twitter posts, you know I'm in one of those moods. I just couldn't find a picture with a ball gag in her mouth. That'd have been perfect. But okay. The meme sufficed enough. Probably could go Photoshop it in though. I do have Photoshop. Now I'll behave. You guys probably already. If you don't, some of you are actually new. I keep forgetting that. My favorite congresswoman to have absolutely fun wrecking on, because every time she opens her mouth, hence the ball gag comment, it's just hilarious. Now, where'd that background noise come from? Okay, that's weird. I was picking up someone talking in the background on my through my headset. Okay. But like I said, AOC is probably the most fun one to just have fun with, and because she does sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll give her credit sometimes. Sometimes she says some brilliant things, but she doesn't know when to shut up. Then she ruins it all. Now, granted, I don't agree with 99.8% of the things she says, but every fraction of a percent, she actually has something intelligent and kind of important to say. The rest of the time, it's just okay, comic relief, time to have some fun. I mean, our whole Congress is a joke. Really, it's a sick joke, actually, because they're murdering us slowly but surely. I've been very vocal about my opinions, what needs to happen. Every last one of them needs replaced. We just witnessed history, land breaking history happen during this last election cycle. A truck driver got elected and only spent $153 on his campaign and beat a long-setting top Democrat in New Jersey and took his seat. That's what we need. We need more of that. And yes, it needs to happen at the state level first, because it's easier to obtain and achieve at the state levels. Then there's some interesting things that can happen. Some real interesting things that can happen and transpire from that. The gathering of the states. It is a way for each state to finally put an end to our tyrannical government. We're done with you. But it also goes back to what I said earlier this week on Daily Commute. We need to judge people by their actions, not their words. Because their actions will prove their words true or false. That's the type of people who are about their actions, about their values, their morals are their actions. Do they support the Constitution? All of the Constitution as it is written, not amended. None of this it means it can be interpreted this way. No, as it is black and white, resolute form. Those are the type of people we need to put in office. They know and understand what it's like to work every day to get by. Barely getting by, living paycheck for paycheck. They know what this country needs. It doesn't need some millionaire, billionaire, congresswoman or congressman who got rich while being in office. Hello, Bree. Welcome back.
Yeah, well, we're going to try this with the phone for the moment while my computer is being a simplistic special simpleton. I think somebody fed my computer.
I was wondering if you spilled coffee on it.
No, I think somebody gave it super extra crunchy peanut butter, and they forgot the butter. They just fed it the nuts. But it was very interesting. I don't know how many people watched the what little bit of trial coverage there was yesterday, and it's the mere fact that they even showed it yesterday is.
I was shocked.
Yeah, it was, but one of the very interesting things that I think a lot of people miss is, and this is a very critical point here, is the overall rifle length and or barrel length.
Yes.
This is a very critical point of reference. Any weapon can be considered a very dangerous weapon. I don't like the way that Mr. Binger tries to go at it. I forget what is the not prejudicial misconduct. What was the term that was floating around earlier in the week?
Oh, when he which time when he violated Kyle's constitutional right to silence?
No, this would have been earlier in the week. It wasn't prejudicial misconduct. It's a very, very old ruling that only the judge can make, even if the jury comes back.
Oh yes. What's the term? Damn it.
It's found in black laws.
Yes, it is. But yeah, it's the big term. But yeah, where the judge can actually rule, no matter even because, well, the defense can ask for it at any time.
Right.
Even after the jury gives its verdict. But the judge can intercede without anyone asking for it. Oh man, what is it called? Something misconduct.
I want to say prejudicial misconduct, but I don't think that's
no, that's not it.
And I know it's not prosecutorial misconduct with prejudice. I know it's not that.
No, that was asked like on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is yeah.
This is a much bigger ruling, and it happens in less than 1% of all trials.
Actually, it's actually less than 0.1%.
Right.
Man, I can't remember what it's called.
It's a very big prejudicial something or other. But the foundation of this, that ironically the last time that this happened was in Kenosha County in the state of Wisconsin. And it was in Judge Schroeder's courtroom.
Did I tweet that to you?
And that would have been on Tuesday. And I think, now that I think back, it is prejudicial misconduct.
Directed verdict.
Direct verdict, that's it. Directed verdict.
Actually, you tweeted that to me.
Yep. Directed verdict. And one of the basis of this can be based on the state crime lab's ballistic forensic analyst. She failed in her report to measure or make reference to does this rifle in question, the AR, which is a Colt SP1 AR. It is a standard length barrel.
I thought it was a short barrel.
Nope, it is a
medium.
Nope, it is a standard 16-inch with a A2 birdcage flash suppressor on it, which actually makes it an 18-inch barrel, and its overall length exceeds 26 inches. This was never brought up by the prosecution. The defense, actually having had access to it, actually did measure it, but because it was not, that information was not sought by the prosecution, it cannot be entered into the courts
right
as evidence. Now, here's what is very interesting. How and why would Mr. Groshkowitz, and I'm probably butchering his name, and at this point I really don't care, did you happen to see or hear the interview that was given on ABC? Did you happen to see that? I know millions of people actually saw that video.
No, but I also heard that Cooper also played his testimony too before he let him answer, which he
right
showed him lying right there on TV. I didn't
right.
Like I said, I'm sick of the entertainment news.
Here is where for the first time I think ever, I'm going to give Anderson a attaboy for one reason and one reason only. He pointed out the 3 times that Gage Groshkowitz perjured himself on the stand under oath, because he amended his testimony 3 times on the stand. 3 times.
I mean, that's the whole mockery of this thing. It was the assistant prosecuting attorney that called him on it.
Exactly. And for him to then 2 days after his testimony to go on GMA, and for Michael Strahan, a former disgraced football player, mind you, to state, for the record, you can say anything you want on this platform. You will not be censored or penalized for whatever you say here.
Yeah.
That makes me believe that he redacted his testimony of what he said on the witness stand, which it basically is going to make his $10 million lawsuit go out the window.
Oh, it's already out the window. Because I guarantee you what's going to happen, no matter what this verdict happens, there's going to be some perjury charges brought up, some contempt charges brought up. Because, I mean, like the judge clearly pointed out before this even started to go to the jury to hear anything, these people were not victims.
No.
They were rioters. Now, with the exception, Gertzowitz, he wasn't, as far as we all know, he wasn't there, destroying things like the other. I don't want to go there. The first dude, we're not going there because trying to.
Well, to be fair here, it was.
Oh wait, never mind. Yes, he was. He was carrying concealed without a permit.
Now, here is where things get interesting. Yes, he was carrying in the small of the back, but which by definition, carrying in the small of the back is a carrying concealed, which under his expired CCW. Now, at the time that his CCW expired, does fall during the illness. We'll call it the illness. Wisconsin does have open carry. Does not mean that he can run around flashing his carrying it in the open the way that he was. But if there was the problem in lies is where Rosenbaum and his friend who had just gotten out 48 hours prior from a particular from the state home that
Not house. Just say what it really is.
well, he was being held at that facility
For a
under a section known as the 980 Statutes. The 980 Statutes is for extremely violent offenders who are highly likely to reoffend because of the nature of his crimes are so
Well, see, I gotta stop you there because what actually came out in court, even though that he was at the mental hospital because of attempted suicide while incarcerated.
but he was also being detained under the 980 statutes.
Well, they didn't disclose that, so I'm not going to comment on it. We all know what his previous crimes are.
Right. But his sidekick, Mr. Zimmer, or Zelensky, you notice that the individual who fired the first shot next to Kyle and Rosenbaum fired the first shot. Zelensky is also a prohibitive person.
Oh, yeah.
So why would you put a person who had prior convictions, and one of his convictions was perjury? Why would you put somebody on the stand?
So I look at it this way: whatever happened to the day that you have to be a credible witness to even testify?
Right. And then you take a look. You take into account that the state's video and photo forensics examiner spends 20 plus hours on material that the defense expert who came in from South Dakota spent less than an hour on the project and completely obliterates the state's case. And what takes the cake is you take
the state obliterated their own case.
Now here's where things get interesting. How is it, or why, I should say why would you put a footage of something that was shot in, dare I say, 720 video?
That blurry image?
That was maybe 720, and I'm giving them a lot of latitude here at saying 720, and you put it on a 4K TV, which is going to add color and pixelation that was not previously there. Why do you do that?
But you missed the best part of that whole thing. The image that they want to bring to the show isn't an actual image because it was created through I want to use the term AI lightly.
AMP5 computer software, which I'm very familiar with. AMP5.
No, we're not talking about AMP5. We're talking about what is it? Apple's? Can't remember the name of the program, but it's what edited it. Basically, it renders the image. It enhances and renders the image. So something it'll try to add the things that are missing to basically what it can find in its database. So
smart that program is called Smart Image.
Yes.
And
so the image that they're trying to, which the judge let happen now, they managed to get it off. That image is not the actual image anymore. It is a rendered, manipulated construct that does not represent the actual event or the actual image of that picture of that night and time, as the defense's guy, how he was able to pinpoint time frames and stuff.
Right.
This doesn't even represent any of that because it's a
right, and he used Smart Image as well as he also used AMP5.
The image that they got into evidence had nothing to do with AMP5.
Actually, I think the one that he used was a computer. I don't think he used Jazzix. It was a Mac rendering. Because you could see that Mac signatures on the actual piece. But it was as close to the original as feasibly possible.
Not even close.
Do you have the did you happen to grab the screen grab of it? Because I don't. I don't have that.
I can't share screens anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm going to find the name of the program that was used.
I only have in my computer. I'm familiar with AMP5. I'm very familiar with AMP5 and Smart, but I don't have the one that he used, which was the one that comes standard with most Mac. And your normal video editor.
I'm going to mute myself because I don't want this to come through.
Okay. You know, there were so many loopholes, and what's I think so many people are missing is that on Monday, Monday or Tuesday, possibly going into Wednesday, there's another self-defense case that comes into the hands of the jury, and this one might actually be in the grand scheme of what we know as don't pay any attention to what's going on here, look over here kind of case, and that's the case out of Georgia. There's two high-profile self-defense cases going on, and Oh yeah, let's not forget about the the trials against the cops that up in Minnesota that go to try that start trial next week as well. And incidentally, last night, what was caught in St. Paul, Minnesota, the beginnings of looting and property crime beginning in St. Paul, Minnesota about midnight last night. Things to think about, and we all know that Kenosha's a mid-sized middle America town. How do they think the numbers that were released as being 500, how do they think that that is going to work out in their favor? How? 500 National Guard for a city the size of Kenosha. And just for giggles, come on, browser, you can work. What is the top? You know, it'd be nice if I could spell. Okay, here we go. Way down on the list. As of 2019, how do they expect 500 National Guard and the ineffective county and city law enforcement? How do they expect? All right, here they go. Oh, all right. This is a more updated number. How do they expect a number of 170, basically 171,000 people, not including the numbers of the population as of 2021, how do they expect 500 National Guardsmen to quell, okay, if even 1/4 of that population goes batshit crazy, how do they expect the population to adhere to any kind of decorum and lawfulness to stay civil with 171,000 people with only 500 troops? How do they expect this to how can they expect this to go any way but sideways? And this is according to the census done in accordance to Kenosha County census, and it's a growth rate of 0.37% according to the most recent census data. What's your thoughts on this? You know, because this is a pretty significant number.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just had the leader of the BLM state. Look what he stated just this week. Granted, that was for like New York, but he's stating it for everywhere, nationwide.
Yeah, I would like to know why.
There's another New York's talking about because their crime rates going through the roof, bringing back their crime division that they had, which was pretty good at stopping crime before it happened.
Right?
And the BLM's little so-called leader. Well, there's going to be bloodshed, violence if you do that on a national scale. I mean, it's a fear program, and it's like I said, been stated that I mean, even in this case, this wouldn't even be a case if it wasn't for the mainstream media. They're the ones that spread the lies and fueled the fire and kept fueling it to where all these people in Kenosha lost their businesses, had their town destroyed. Same thing goes back for the last few years. Portland, Oregon, all these states have had these Antifa, Black Lives Matter. All this violence and property destruction, business destruction, can all be blamed on one source, and that is the media spreading lies, bringing in false narratives, glorifying criminals, and berating good cops for doing their job.
Now,
And I'm not defending the cops. I'm just stating the facts.
Now let's
in the case in Kenosha had a knife.
Let's back the why,
As far as anything National Guard, all I gotta say, remember Kent State.
That's exactly. I just had this conversation with somebody else earlier this morning, and she was born that year, and she was like, I know that the numbers were higher than 4. I said, yeah, there's actually 18 that were confirmed. But it's actually, I think, a little bit higher than that. But I says, the only way that this stops, and it stops now, is if things go back to where in cases where a state of emergency has been declared, and if I remember correctly, if the National Guard is called up and deployed, doesn't that constitute a state of emergency?
It is. I mean, Toledo, Detroit, this was well after Kent State. The riots in Detroit, in Toledo, the burning and stuff. National Guard was called in for that. Let's go to a natural disaster. Katrina, New Orleans, we've seen the debacle there with the National Guard. But we also got to realize, and there was a nice, interesting article that I retweeted on Twitter about the National Guard. They're depleted right now because of the vaccine mandate and National Guardsmen refusing to get vaccinated. So, can't believe the numbers that they're going to be stating, because they got a problem within basically let me go back to my tweets. I retweeted. I hate this. I need to move this over here to my bigger screen so I can actually get my sidebars and actually find shit. There's that article. Here. Nope. Yeah, there's that one. I don't always speak my mind, but when I do, I sound like a damn idiot. Yep, that's AOC for you.
What robot?
I did.
You're a robot to me.
That's odd.
Let me go out and come back in.
Sound good. Let me lower the bit rate on this thing. I should be coming in fine. Saying I got good connection other than YouTube screwing around with things. But even the National Guard is rejecting Biden's mandate of vaccines. So they're calling it the Pentagon sees its first National Guard unit mutiny over Biden's mandate. And it is. It's not just affecting the nurses. People are starting to say, hey, enough's enough. Now you're talking about a third shot plus a booster. It's gotten like ridiculous. But I'm not a fan of the National Guard ever coming in to to do police work. But I can go back to Ferguson, and we've seen where they were called and they didn't do anything. So where they allowed things, they didn't violate people's freedoms, freedom of protest, freedom to peacefully protest, their free speech. So we've seen in certain cases like this positive things from the National Guard. But we also got to realize, in this time of age and day and age we're living at right now, our police departments are depleted. Our healthcare, our first responders are depleted. And according to this statement, maybe even our National Guard is depleted. Our military is suffering, but they still have till December to fully comply. We seeing this the other side of protest. People finally saying enough's enough. Fine, we won't come into work. We're going to take a sick day. Unfortunately,
Okay, how's my audio?
your audio's perfect.
Okay, how's my audio now?
Perfect. You're not blowing my eardrums out now.
I have no audio from you at all, Drew.
Huh? My mic's showing I'm putting out audio
That's
out.
weird. Aw.
I'm coming through YouTube on the live stream just fine. I think your headphones might be screwed up. But then again, I'd be talking thin air because you can't hear me because your headphones ain't working. Yeah. Yeah, I'm coming in just fine. As you can see, because you don't have YouTube muted, I can hear my echo in the background.
Okay, now I can hear you just fine.
Good. Mute that thing.
Now let me just
Nothing more than I hate is hearing my own voice, which pretty
okay.
sad. It's that irritating to me. I don't know how people watch my videos.
Okay, now I can hear you just fine. I just had to turn everything back a little bit. Um, there. Um, Sorry about the testicle difficulties. There's this on-off switch on my headphones. And apparently, it was user error. um, but getting back to what you were saying, before I switched over, um, how many places do we have to look that the National Guard came in and things went awry?
But as you were cut out and didn't catch with your technical user error, I also stated we can go back to Ferguson, and we've actually seen where the National Guard didn't do anything,
Right? And
where they allowed people to keep. They didn't interfere, and it's a catch-22, especially right now. As I stated, with the vaccine mandates and stuff. Now the National Guard, they've got shortage of the National Guard. All of our first responders. I mean, that's kind of a scary thing. If something would happen, because our National Guards got a little mutiny going on. Our first responders, a lot of them are, doing their form of protesting. Nurses, doctors, police departments. Our system is right now in a delicate balance of shortage. So yeah, it is interesting, because we also know Kenosha has a small police department. They had to call in help, but the scary part about that is some of the help that they've reached out to happens to be an area that can't police their own damn city.
170, a population of 170,000, and even let's just say, even 15% goes crazy and gets stupid. Even 500, unless you're putting actual, even if you use what I like to refer to as gummy bears, i.e. rubber bullets, on target to deter certain actions that are criminal in nature, they're just going to go back to doing what they were doing. I mean, there's a viral video of those two vehicles, and I forget just where it was, loading up at a CT convenience store, or
Oh yeah.
I mean, one lady, I think I counted something like 30 giant bottles of Tide laundry detergent, chucking them in her Honda Odyssey minivan.
Yeah, and then the audio in the background. So we need to do something. If you do something, you'll be fired.
Is that any better?
What?
I backed up from the mic a little bit.
That's better. No, on your phone, you're blowing my eardrums out.
Oh, my phone, it's actually off.
No, that was earlier.
Oh.
No, it's fine now that you're on the computer. No, it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things where, it's starting to get, the lamestream media is starting to add the fuel to the fire, like they're good at. But on the same token, though, depending how this verdict goes, You know, the fear of God might be put in some of these protesters that want to go there and actually just burn and loot and destroy things. Because, like I said, this is a landmark case. Yes, it's personal self-defense, but at the same time, it shows that they just can't run amok anymore. That there is consequences, and this is not going to be probably the only case anymore.
Well,
if it goes one way. Now, if it goes the other way, there's still going to be protests, but they won't be violent. Unless, since now we know the FBI is in the area, we have our provocateurs.
And let's not, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the Kim Potter case up in Minneapolis that goes to trial this week.
Yeah, I've been following that, so I can't comment.
Then we also have that Ahmaud Arbery case, and that's another. You have three huge cases. I'm going to.
But we also got cold weather set in, so.
Well, I don't think in the Potter case, I don't think that's going to be a factor, because a seasoned officer of her that considering the number of years that she was on the force, how you mistake your duty weapon for a taser is unexcusable. By I don't care how few of years she had carried her taser, that's not germane in this case at all. But and she's gonna go down.
Isn't some of the tasers actually can be that locks on the actual barrel of your service revolver? Or service pistol? My bad.
No, almost every taser that is out there and in use today. Now there is a device that is about the size of a cell phone that you can fire. It's literally the size of a Apple phone.
Hey, Sword Point. Long time no see.
Hey, Sword Point. That it will actually it's driven by a 38 caliber blank.
Okay, I thought there was one particular like that.
And it fires a projectile that goes around the legs and ankles of a fleeing subject, and it's got a effective range of, I think, 45 feet. But and I happen to live in a community that actually does use that technology. We're the only state or the only city in my state that actually has it, and it's according to the DOJ, it's in its test phase, where it's being tested in live actual police work. There's only 17 cities in the nation that have been selected for this to be used. Hey, Sword Point, good to see you again.
Feel free to jump in. The links
do I believe
are in the chat somewhere.
Do I believe that this is a do I like being living like I'm in a guinea pig type environment? Not particularly.
What are you talking about? We've been living that since the start of the pandemic.
Right, but it's one of those situations.
I mean, let's keep it real. They stopped. Let's keep it real. They stopped trials on animals because it was killing the animals, so they went to the next best thing, human.
Right.
Guinea
But
pigs for all these vaccines that don't work. But yet, you need to be vaccinated. Oh, I'm the lame dementia patient 101. I'm making this mandate that you got to get vaccinated, but he refuses to sign an executive order or have Congress make it a law because it's unconstitutional.
the my city changed the color of their uniform to that very dark blue, along with the county. And so many other entities, they went to that tactical uh, blue black uniform a long time ago. Um, and I foresee this coming season what's known as uh, riot season.
So we got a ways off for that. That's not so it warms up.
I honestly don't think with these cases being planned as to go as late in the year as they did, they strategically planned them to go late in the year like they did.
I don't know what Skype is anymore.
That I truly believe that they put these out as long as they did for a reason, hoping to avoid some of the backlash. But we see how well that worked for them in Ferguson. And I'm hoping that the jury either A, comes back very quickly and they don't drag this out.
Okay. Which case are we talking about?
The Rittenhouse case
that you talked about, I know nothing about.
The Rittenhouse case. I'm hoping that they don't deliberate long, but I also like the ruling that Judge Schroeder gave on this, that they don't have a free-for-all to all the video evidence, that they only have...
I differ on that. I liked his idea. I think, because in some ways I see if you have a judge or somebody sitting there overseeing things, it's like
that's how that is.
It feels like intimidation. But we already had intimidation of witnesses of the jury earlier this week when somebody tried to videotape them. Give me a second, Sword Point. I got to remember my password because I haven't used Skype in forever.
Oh, did you happen to catch what that was submitted at the very end of TV coverage? Did you happen to catch that one of the witnesses that had testified emailed the prosecution and stated that they knew
assistant prosecutor?
No, they knew one of the jurors. That was on the panel.
Yeah, I caught that at the very end.
That was entered. That was like 3 or 4 minutes before they cut the feed. I thought that was very interesting as well, that they did that. It was very, very interesting. And that could potentially hurt this jury, and it could actually benefit Kyle in the long run of this, and be further grounds for a mistrial. I hate to see this have to be brought back through the courts again.
I don't foresee this ever coming back to the courts. One, we've already seen let's keep it real. I mean, a blind man, Ray Charles, could see this coming.
I think a directed verdict.
The assistant prosecuting attorney has done everything in his power to throw this case.
Oh, his legal career's over. He's done like a duck from last fall.
Because I mean, this has has potentially to be, like I said, a landmark case on many grounds. Oh crap! I'm gonna run with a bit. I gotta help.
I
Help them.
Yeah,
I gotta mute myself over here, and I gotta find it because I got multiple windows open now.
Okay. I foresee this going in a multitude of ways. I don't want to see, as I had stated to a friend of mine on the phone who has great concern about this case, whether Kyle gets convicted or not, this kid had aspirations of going into law enforcement and to make a difference in not only whatever community he chose to live in, but wherever this kid goes, his life is over. Whether he's prosecuted or he's found innocent, or it becomes a full acquittal. Wherever this kid goes, his life is over. This case has international attention at this point, and I feel sorry for the kid because his life is, no matter what field he goes into at this point.
Oh yeah, I most definitely agree. Sorry, I actually tried to answer you before, but forgot I muted myself. I gave him the link, and there he is, Mr. Sharp.
Oh, you Skyped him in.
Not you, yeah, kind of.
It's no matter what he does, he's done. And with the number of death threats that have come in since yesterday, you kind of gotta, no matter where you stand on this case, to me, this is an open and shut case of he followed the letter of Wisconsin law. The only damning video, and it came in very late, but was deemed as inadmissible, was the video that he shot the night before. And thankfully the prosecution or the defense struck it. And I don't think many people saw the video, thankfully, where he had stated, damn, I wished I had my AR. And this was the night before the major rioting had begun. And that was thrown out.
Well, that was thrown out, and that's also what prompted, because that was during the line of questioning that was violating his constitutional right to silence.
Right.
That was the first bashing of the assistant prosecuting attorney from the judge that day. And about 15-20 minutes later came the second one, and oh my God.
That was blistering.
Yeah, that was, oh boy. I've been on a receiving end a couple of those from a judge, but never like that. And I've never seen an attorney or a prosecutor ever get tongue lashed like that.
And that's when I said directed verdict to you.
That's what everybody was screaming at.
What's your thoughts there, Sir Point?
Hey, Free Spirit. How's it going there, sons and daughters of liberty there, Brother Drew?
Enjoying my Saturday afternoon with some peach.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon drinking, brother. Anywho, yeah, no, I've heard some of it. Yeah, I concur with some of it. Some of it, as a cop. Now, the only time I've ever seen prosecutors get lashed is once they left. Usually they start out as defense attorneys, and they get aggressive and overly aggressive, and they'll screw up, and then they learn when the tongue lashing comes the first time. But this guy's being driven by politics.
Oh, yeah.
And the media. I think he's an attention whore, and he also wants to spark shit. And you have leftist even calling for a directed verdict.
Right, that's what shocked me.
Yeah.
Perfect meme of the week. Finger and Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, side by side.
Yep.
I mean, this is when
you guys run with it for a few minutes.
I've had retired people from my line of work. Hey, we are free. What's up?
Oh, there's somebody I haven't seen in a while.
Right. My feeling. I've had 30 plus people who come from my line of work reach out to me and ask me what my opinion is, and I'm like, you really don't want, because this is my state. This is 3.5 hours from my doorstep. This truly affects me. And what my ability to not only defend myself, because Wisconsin is one of those few states that does have a duty to retreat, and it's very clear what that entails in our state law, and I'm very upset that is even on the books.
That does remind me. Living as a Hoosier right now, I better check the fucking state laws of self-defense here.
This case, really, it doesn't just affect Wisconsin. This case is going to because there is.
When this case is over, it's going to be in the little black book for all eternity.
This case will, because there is a possibility, depending upon how the Supreme Court rules next summer.
Yes, that case.
Because there's a couple of cases, 2A cases that constitutional carry, open constitutional carry may actually become a thing.
Ohio's getting ready to pass it.
This case is going to, how this case plays out is really going to be used as a stiff scrutiny by the Supreme Court as to how this weighs out and shakes out. And I really don't honestly believe that a lot of people have seen the full spectrum of what this case, not just for cheeseheads, but the entire nation, and what it's going to force people to actually go out and not just get trained up on how to defend themselves, but what the laws for their state actually is. And they change from year to year.
Yeah.
And
That's the other thing the judge said, and he said it to Kyle.
Yep.
He quoted the Latin. No, not Latin. It was Greek. Wasn't it? Ignorance is bliss, basically, of the law. I can't remember what it's Greece or Grecian or Greek or Latin phrase.
it was a Latin phrase.
Yep. It's interesting to me because I think what it is starting is I think it's gonna Ohio's pushing for constitutional carry.
Oh.
I think it's going to enhance that. This case, I mean, you got to remember, there's a couple Second Amendment cases going in front of the Supreme Court too.
Yep.
So, Castle Doctrine's key, constitutional carry's key, and what was the old adage they used to say? An armed society is a polite society.
Yes, it is.
And with the distemper that we have in the division, I think the more arms, the more polite. And, when you have, here's the funny thing, everybody was talking about the uptick of, what do you call it? Man, I'm mind dumping. Somebody waved or something on the screen that threw me off.
Sorry, I got sound effects.
Yeah, one of the things that it will bring up, I believe, is the uptick of firearms purchases.
Oh,
a lot of people forget that the left started buying guns. They realized their Second Amendment already. The communists did. That's a problem. And this is they've divided everybody so badly that you have the ugly face of communism emerging in the United States of America. And that's the real threat. And especially when you have a sitting president try to get involved saying that Rittenhouse is a white supremacist. His mother said something to a news reporter. I saw it on YouTube channel where she said, our lawyers are going to deal with that one. So hopefully she gets a chunk of that Chinese money from his ass.
Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's been another uptick as well to the couple of years ago that the militia movement was, I mean, it was there, but it really wasn't as open and vocal, where this case has really polarized and brought them out, and they're no longer hiding in the shadows. And I think that in now, like where I'm at, because I live in rural America, you're going to see a lot more people being very open and not being as OPSEC about that sort of stuff. And that very well could come back to bite people in their fourth point of contact, as some of us like to say. And that, that pendulum swings in both ways, where I think we're on the precipice of natural rights and natural law coming back into the very forefront, and the antithesis of what this country was founded upon. You mentioned a couple of the cases. You have Young versus Becerra, which was
right.
And that in and of itself. Duncan B. Becerra,
Yep.
which was a California case.
And then the New Jersey case and the New York case. I mean, there's a lot of casework, but here's the thing. I hope this gets out to people. Look, under Clinton, I remember that was big. you and I, all of us, I think, are old enough to remember when, when I got out of the Marine Corps in early 90s, they vilified people as survivalists, right?
Yep.
And then the next vilification was under, and that was under Bush and Clinton in the beginning. Then they vilified, and that ended up with Randy Weaver, that incident at Ruby Ridge.
I remember that. Here's the thing. Hold
on, let me finish on this, please. Free spirit. And then you had it morph into, militia under Clinton. And then Clinton vilified the militia. And they always said it was white supremacists. Every time I've seen this done. And then you saw it start out with the alt-right and all the other different things. And then prepping, preppers. And now I think what a lot of people aren't seeing is Boogaloo Boys. That's what they're calling militia now.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard the terminology was in this case.
But the Boogaloo Boys, here's the problem. They're mostly Marxist. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's like Redneck Revolt. They're still predominantly white people, but they're white people that think they'll be the new police. You see what I'm saying? Except they're going to be like Leventry. And so, just be cautious. All these things are traps. The best advice I ever got came from an author friend of mine when I just got done talking to Randy Weaver. I knew from the old Soldier of Fortune days when I used to go compete in the 3-gun matches. And he was actually a contributor to Soldier of Fortune magazine. A lot of people don't know this.
Yep. And he's also an Iowa native.
Yeah, exactly. But, he had went to, and we all know what Ilhom, or I can't remember, something Ilhom. Yeah, their little compound they had, and Andy the German, who was number 2 person of looking at it, was Andreas something Meyer something. Anyways, I'm mind dumping his name. Sorry, folks. And then what you saw was he got spirited out under, and then everybody forget Adenauer or something like that. Andreas Adenauer, I believe was the name. And he got spirited out as diplomatic immunity because his dad worked for German Bundesnachrichtendienst, which is BND, their version of FBI and CIA. And that was started under a Nazi. So, anyway, so the point is, and that's a West German, by the way. So the point that I'm saying is he got hemmed up and gymmed up, and I could see the setup back then when I was just going to college and out of the Marine Corps. And then when I talked to him at a survival expo, Christopher Nergis, out in California, he's an awesome, he studied under Ewell Gibbons, and he's an awesome survival guy, but a naturalist kind of dude. And I'd taken a couple classes with him back when I was in the Marine Corps, stationed out at Pendleton. And this dude pulls me to the side. He goes, "Sheriff, you're talking," and Sheriff Mack was there too, by the way. And they were both talking, and I was talking with him. And so was Christopher. And he goes, "Sheriff, what the hell are you doing, bro?" And I go, "What are you talking about, man?" And he goes, "You're sounding a little sketchy right now." I said, "Well, it kind of pissed me." He goes, "Okay, does he pay your bills? Does Clinton pay your bills, or fuck your wife?" "No." He goes, "Then just realize he's an asshole." And that's what got me through Clinton's presidency, Obama's presidency, and this idiot that is not really president. He just got selected. And I mean that. So hopefully they don't pull it off YouTube for me saying that.
Now that was Monica Lewinsky under the table.
Yeah. So, they're assholes, but it's such a honeypot. And we know from what happened in Michigan, what was it? There was 20 some people involved in the plot of a governor going against a governor, and come to find out there was 12 or 13 feds or confidential informants in there fomenting it.
Yep.
So that's something people need to realize. They're all honeypots.
Of which,
And that's all I had to say, Free. Sorry.
Let's get on to the other hot topic of the week. Late this week. All the indictments coming from what? Is it Germany? For the Russiagate?
What's that?
All the indictments?
Russiagate?
Yep.
Yep.
The most elaborate hoax ever pulled. But now people are actually going to be going to jail for that. My curiosity is, are they going to come after the ones here in the United States who are just as guilty, like the Clintons, Page? And I'm curious, what's Michael Flynn going to do now that these indictments are coming down, and he was one of the ones caught up and cost him his career and job because of the Russiagate dossiers and stuff, the Steele dossier.
Well, my opinion real quick is if he doesn't sue the Hildebeest who funded it and the DNC, he's an idiot. And he's not an idiot. I actually have met Michael Flynn. And so he needs to sue her and the DNC and everybody involved, including Christopher Steele. And lawsuits need to start flying. And to talk to the subject of anybody getting indicted, yeah, they're getting indicted, but will they get convicted?
That
depends on the circuit court that it goes to. So that's my 2 cents on it. Free. I'm sorry I took up some of the time last time, so please carry on. Sorry, sister.
It's all good. There's a lot of I've always said, we always need to be careful and be very, very vigilant about all these left hand, right hand things. And I find it very, very interesting that there are all these things that are all seeming to pop up now. All these indictments that's been going on for a hot minute, and it's not really any kind of a surprise to me. Now, the moment that people start getting matching bracelets and they start getting hauled off to the Hoosgow, that's when I will start paying more attention to what's going on. Now, one of the things that a lot of people seem to forget was that the timeline of between Ruby Ridge and what followed a short time after Ruby Ridge.
Wasn't that the Koresh incident?
Yeah.
Ruby Ridge.
And what happened a year earlier to Ruby Ridge almost is like a year and a week earlier. A lot of people seem to forget their history.
If I'm not wrong in the history of things in that timeline, it was Ruby Ridge. Wasn't it the bombing?
That came 2 years, almost to the day after.
Then the Koresh, right?
Yep. You had Ruby Ridge, Waco, OKC, but before Ruby Ridge, you had the Gitmo actually happened way after that. We Are Free. You also had the Montana situation that lasted, it is like 87 out to 100 and some days, but under the Montana state law regarding locked gates and or chained gates, the government could not enter into the Freeman compound because of the state law. That state law superseded federal at that time. and it still does. And that was a year and couple of weeks prior to that, which kind of helped usher in this thing called, and I found it very interesting how fast what we now know today as the Patriot Act, how quickly that piece of paper came out, tells me many, many things. If people would, as I like to say, DYOR, do your own research, that a lot of those papers started being drawn up way before, but shortly thereafter, the Freeman issue out in Montana, dealing with the Montana militia. Maybe one of the most, I hate to use the term aggressively and well regulated groups, because their level of hierarchy and management of that group far surpassed any group that was known or unknown at the time. That their level of leadership far exceeded anything of the supremacist groups, or any underground group in the entire nation. They had everything, every check and balance modeled after the Constitution. I mean, they had everything nailed to the wall, and it followed natural rights and natural law down to the letter.
And they had their own lawyers and stuff too. And here's the thing about that. I remember that because I actually knew a Treasury agent that investigated them. And he actually got found out. It was funny. He tells the story about how his tape recorder fell out when I was a Fed. Anyway, here's the thing I'll say about where they fucked up, the Freeman, was they were actually making their own checks and doing a lot of illegal shit too. But so they brought that on themselves. What I was trying to say when I was mentioning that stuff, I understand how it goes back. I will say this, not wrong. People do your own research, as you said. Joe Biden is the one who drafted the Patriot Act under Rex 84. And that was when they wouldn't talk about COG, continuity of government.
Yep.
And that's why when 9/11 happened, it looked like Homeland Security just popped up overnight. No. It first started out, one of my certificates was the Office of Domestic Preparedness. And the other one is Department of Homeland Security, but their emblem was totally different. It was a star with like a flag going through it. And it was Joseph Robinette Biden, who was the lead senator drafting it. A matter of fact, Senator Sununu,
I remember that one.
when Oliver North was being questioned about Iran-Contra, brought up Rex 84, suspended, and said, we'll do that in closed meeting in the Intel Committee. And that was Senator Sununu who did that. So you have to, I try to tell this to people all the time. And, everybody sees these regulations. COVID-19 was a blessing for these fucks.
Oh, wasn't it?
Because it allowed the Chinese to finally wrest control of the U.S. and all the companies complicit with them to push not Marxism, Maoism. And it has a special little hate breed of Stasi involved in it. And that's all I had to say. Sorry, I didn't want to jump in for too long, guys.
What's interesting is your audio dipped out as soon as you got started going into Rex 84. A lot of people don't know what Rex 84 actually is.
Hell, I don't know.
Well, Rex 84 was a continuity of government kind of thing, i.e., this ascension to the presidency and a lot of other things, and also establishing a federal policing agency. And notice what they did with this is how many police, fire, medics, EMTs, meaning nurses and doctors are going to lose their jobs because they've done the research. They are medical professionals and they don't want to take the jab. And now they want to make the companies enforce it. And it's not just people with over 100 people in their companies. Now they're saying no matter if you're a self-owner of a business, you have to take the jab. Yep. And it's going to be enforced by OSHA. And through regulation, de facto, it becomes law. Did that come through pretty clear, guys? I don't know.
Yes, it did. See, there's many people don't understand. I don't think, Sword Point, you or I's background. I've because I'm still under NDA disclosure. I have to be a little bit secretive. That's why I don't always come up on cam. Because
you have your NDAs in effect.
Yeah.
Where I lived it this way. They'd say, "Oh, you got to sign an NDA." I'd be like, "Fine, I gotta go use the restroom. I'll be right back." And then I'd just get out in my car and go away. "Oh, I got called away. I'll get it when I get back." And nobody ever answers. Nobody ever comes back to it. And it's hilarious when that happens because that's how I've gotten away with not signing a lot of NDAs. Now, the NDAs that I have signed, I've been like you. I've kept my face obscured, and I've had my voice changed, and I've outed several things. And there's stuff that I've outed. I mean, Glenn Beck wouldn't even run with one of them, and I've never talked about it since then. But he got the full story of it.
It's suffices to say that Sword Point and I, our career paths, and no doubt we at one time or another, we probably inhabited probably the same installations across the juggernaut at least once or twice. We probably were in the same compound at one time or another. I'm pretty sure of it, at least once.
At least the one in Maryland, yeah, and maybe the one in the tobacco farm.
Yep, yeah, I'm quite certain of the one at the tobacco farm. I'm certain of that, but definitely the one up in Maryland. I'm for sure of that one. But I mean, it's suffices to say that when we speak of specific documents, you can take that knowledge to the bank as being it is gospel truth. I chose a different path with the NDA for the simple fact that there are some perks to it. The only thing I worry about is getting tagged red.
Right. Retired, extremely dangerous. I got it.
Well, here's the one thing that those of us who have donned the uniform at one time or another, there's a clause within that you are just as the Marine Corps, you are required up until the point of unless you become critically injured, or you have some kind of ailment that comes along, such as a heart issue or whatever, you're required to maintain a specific level of physical preparedness up until the day of your last breath. They don't tell you that.
And weapons proficiency.
Exactly.
Because you are supposed to be able to serve at a moment's notice at the leisure of a president. Although now that comes into question on my end because I disbelieve certain things. So that's what I'll say on that.
And I could actually testify what you guys just said, because my grandfather, he served in World War II in Korea and was out of the military, but got pulled back in for Vietnam to train troops. And he also did a little stint over there as well. And he was long retired. And it actually happened to my one of my cousins during the last Iraq.
Well, you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back that far. There's a famous name. The gentleman's name is Billy Waugh. And when I was over in Afghanistan, guess who was there too?
Damn.
Billy Waugh, on the hunt for Bin Laden. And that old man went up and that's where I got that phrase from, to be perfectly frank. I was like 35 and in my peak of shape, or 30, whatever it was, 30. No, I wasn't 35. I was younger than that. Anyways, a little bit younger. And Billy was around, and I heard him say to these young troops, these 19 and 18-year-olds, they'd be like, "Come on, old man." And, his knees are blown out because he was a paratrooper in Vietnam. Got sheep dipped and just an interesting old dude. And he'd be like, "Birds and dogs need to eat. If I fall down, don't worry about it. But I'll be seeing you. Either I won't or I will be seeing you. And if I don't worry about me. Quit waiting on me. I'll see you at the rally point or I won't. So shut your mouths." And because he had massive respect as a, Green Beret, nobody fucked with him. They were like, "Okay, old man, whatever." And then that motherfucker would come hobbling up the mountain and meet you there right when they were taking a break. And all of a sudden they're ready to go. And he'd be like, "I'm not going to take a break. I'm going to keep moving. Come on, boys."
It
was hilarious.
I spent a lot of time running with SF. And to be clear, I was not SF. I was not Marine. My basic training was, all the training that you get in 16 weeks plus all of your extra training. I spent 32 weeks in what I call hell. 32 weeks of training that you would normally get in basic and a year of active duty. I crammed into 32 weeks, but I spent a phenomenal amount of time with Marine Recon and the Marine Mountain Expeditionary Forces, as well as several other groups. And
I worked for IMF during the Gulf War as a Marine, so I know what you're talking about. Marine Expeditionary Force. That was IMF's first Marine Expeditionary Force.
Yep. And I loved working with those guys. Crazy as hell, but one of the biggest things about being over there and whatnot, I was over there way early when they were still chasing Bin Laden around, and I had that piece of trash in my sights at least 4 times. And when I called out on the radio, I was told, for whatever reason, no joy. Now, some point knows what that is.
Oh, I know what that is.
And I'm like, we're chasing this piece of garbage, and now you're saying no joy? And I often have pondered, since I've left the active field, what would have happened had I pulled that way earlier than what their plan was. What would have happened? What would have been the international response?
Well, that is an interesting topic there, because I know and heard and read a bunch of statements from other individuals, because we know we had the card game going on.
Oh yeah, we all carried the deck.
And I know a lot of people that had top cards in their crosshairs and were told no.
Yep. No joy. Hey, what I'll bring up right now. Do you remember and both of you may remember, I can't remember her last name, but Martha, they used to call her the Big Mouth. She was a Hollywood actress. Do you remember her? Jesus, she did denture grip or something like that, and they'd say, "I'm the Big Mouth, Martha."
I can't remember her name.
Anyways, she was an Army Reserve colonel, I think.
Really?
Yeah, and she went over to entertain the troops, as a Hollywood woman. And here's the story. An SF compound came under attack. They had a lot of wounded, this, that, and the other, whatever. And what ended up happening is she's giving aid and shit and carrying dudes and dead in to the helicopters to leave. And this one lieutenant comes in and goes, "Hey, ma'am, come on over here. You don't have to help." And she goes, "See this rank, this full bird colonel? That's my rank." She said, "I'm a nurse." She said, "I'm not leaving these boys." This is the kind of metal Hollywood had. And she made it to, I can't remember, Tung Nut or some weird Vietnamese name, and was rendering aid even when they landed, and was relieving other nurses to help, letting them have time off.
I remember that.
So it wasn't always a USO show.
I remember that.
People actually knew what the fuck they were doing and tried to assist.
I remember that.
She's buried at the SF at Fort Bragg.
Yeah, I missed that funeral. I was deployed.
Yep. So, anyways, sorry about that, but it's just truth. It's truth. And what do we have now? Justin Bieber? Yeah, really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they can all eat a dick. Fuck them.
And that's a funny thing. A lot of those guys that did the OSO back in the day, they were former military. They had served at some point.
Jimmy Stewart retired a fucking brigadier general out of the Air Force. Ronald Reagan was a major or captain in the Army film thing. James Garner won the Silver Star. I can't think. Marine by the name of, I think it was only a lance corporal or corporal. And Lee Marvin. No, was it Lee Marvin? Did a lot of cowboy movies. I think it is Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin.
Yeah. He won the Bronze Star. That's the kind of people.
Even our sports people who were in the sports back in that day, they served.
Yep.
You won't find a single.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that because there's been a few. I mean,
Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
There's still a few, but they understood. That's what this country meant to these people. They wouldn't have been playing professional baseball or football if it wasn't for this country. And they put their lives and careers on the line. And a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the OSO, a lot of those old guys, old timers, they were former military. They served. Now it's like, yes, I agree 100% with Surfer. Now it's a joke. It's Bieber or somebody that's half the time doesn't even care about this country.
There's a couple of country artists out there that are former that actually served.
Yep.
And have a though there's a couple of them in particular that have actually exemplary military uh, jackets, and one that is was destined for SF until he and his unit got hit by a VBID. For those
Yep.
that don't know what a VBID is, that's a vehicle born or vehicle improvised
Vehicle-borne explosive device. Yeah. And another thing people don't understand, there was a guy in Afghanistan in the early days, and met him, and it's a funny story, but I really can't get into this part of it, but I'll get into enough of it. He started out with, I'm trying to remember the bands, all their names. The one that did Come As You Are. This is during the grunge movement out of Seattle.
Nirvana.
And
was it Nirvana?
Nirvana. Yeah, Nirvana. And then he moved on to the next one was oh shoot. There were 3 bands total, and all of them made it big, but he kept getting out of them. He was a guitarist, and I'm trying to remember his name now. I can see him as clear as the day, and I'm mind dumping his name. Just look up guitarist that was in Nirvana who ended up in Afghanistan. I believe he was a master sergeant when I met him, and he was ODA, Special Forces. That's what they call him now. ODA. And anyways, if you type it in, you'll know his name. Jesus, I think it's Michael, but I could be wrong. Oh, shit. Why can't I remember his first name? I don't want to give his last name. Anyways, right. Yeah, he served. And he was a badass motherfucker. And that's what I'll say about him. And he retired. So, that's about where I'll leave that conversation. But yeah, he was a good dude, and cool as hell. Oh yeah, it was amazing when I met him.
Or Grohl?
Huh?
Is it Dave Grohl?
That's it.
Dave Grohl.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's now fronting Foo Fighters.
Is he?
Yep.
Is he?
Oh yeah, he is.
Yep.
Okay. Didn't know that, but yeah. I believe that's what his name was. I don't know why I'm still thinking it. Hold on one sec, to make sure.
There's a lot of people out there that they don't.
Not Dave Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana.
There's several people out there that.
Well, he was born in Ohio.
Have put on the uniform, but I had made reference in a previous pod that we had done. It seems to be a strange movement coming where I'm seeing a lot of veterans, a lot of the older veterans that aren't exactly proud. I came out of a military. Go ahead.
I know why I forgot his name. It's Jason Mark Everman, and it was because I called him Mark instead of Jason all the time, and it didn't annoy him. He used to laugh. He'd be like, "I know it's you, Shuff, when you call me that." So yeah, it's Jason Mark Everman, and he played for Nirvana, Mindfunk, and Soundgarden. And old.
Wow, Soundgarden, man, that's an old one.
Yeah, so I mean, he played for a bunch of them. I just closed that tab. Sorry about that, guys. So
all good.
Yeah, I just knew it didn't sound right. I was like, but I do think Dave Grohl served,
Yeah.
but I don't know what he did and where he was at because I didn't meet that guy. So I don't want to be a liar.
Yeah,
Even though I was
he served. I can't remember um which I think he was actually Army. I could be wrong. I've been wrong on a couple of things, but not many.
well, it
There's
becomes a salad once you start remembering people. You remember the names, but it can always get confused. You know what I'm
well,
saying? So
No, I was never good with names. I always faces I never forget.
the problem is once you've like a couple of our fellow comrades that have been in the meat grinder. Once you've been in a vehicle that got blown 80 feet in the air by a IED, not all of your memory is quite as sharp as it used to be.
yeah, I think we call that traumatic brain injury. I got it. You know that, girl. So I get it. You get it. But the people out there don't. So I'll name it what it is. It's like getting shot with a vest on. You still
That
have
hurts too.
bruising. Oh, it's like you got hit with a ball peen hammer on your skin, and it'll break ribs or break your spine sometimes. So it can be just as bad as getting shot, except it's bruising, and some people won't think anything other than it's a bruise. And the next thing you know, your lungs punctured, the motherfucker's spitting blood or breathing out blood, and it comes out frothy. We know how it looks. I mean, you know what I'm saying, sister.
It definitely not one of those experiences. That's why I'm kind of glad that I don't go into the field like I used to. But one of the interesting things that a lot of people don't understand is how many alphabet groups actually have and utilize special people with specific we'll call them
talents. Just say talents.
Yeah, there you go. The ability to drive a nail at ridiculous distances in extremely adverse conditions. That's not something that is you're taught. You either are born with it or you're not. It's just one of those things,
Yep. I've never been anything special, gonna be very frank, but I'm very good at certain things, and one of them is I'm half Sicilian, and I'll just put it that way as a background.
Hell, we got to have a drink.
I got a curiosity.
Curiosity got the cat. You do know that.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't voice this over this. What the hell's going on in Spain?
Chaos?
In what?
In Spain.
Same thing that's happening globally, man. I mean, this is a Chinese takeover of the West. They couldn't get us with their money because they were about to collapse. That's why I said this on another show earlier. That's why I didn't know you guys were on, or I would have come in earlier.
Yeah, I kind of got to tread lightly around the subject because of my personal moment.
It's common knowledge. I mean, it's out there now. So they can eat a dick. Here's my point about it. Is that
she'd love to if she wasn't currently deployed.
Under the laws of land warfare. This is how this works. If an accidental release of a biological agent, it doesn't matter if it's a weapon or not, weaponized or not, which I believe there's no doubt left that it was. It's accidental. Well, the first thing that country needs to do is let everybody know and travel to all their countries and isolate that area where the release happened. Well, instead, what they did was they banned internal flights from Wuhan, and yet they allowed flights all over the globe to continue from Wuhan. Okay? So they failed to do that, which makes it may have been an accidental release, but it makes it now a violation of the laws of land warfare. And this is, as a military policeman, I actually know the laws of land warfare front and back. The Geneva Conventions, the other name for it. Now, if it's a purposeful, and it makes it purposeful, by the way, when you do that, because you failed to do your diligence and do your duty as a nation state, and that's an act of war. If it is released intentionally, it's an act of war. See the thing that's common with those two? Even if it's a bioweapon that's intentionally released, it's an act of war against a nation state. Capital S state. Small s is like Ohio. It's a state. It's not a capital S state. It doesn't have a capital in state. It's Ohio, except for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They use Ohio State capitalized, but they capitalize it all.
Yeah,
but that's incorrect in the meaning of it. But a nation state, if it's purposefully released, or if it's an accidental release, you fail to notify, and yet you isolate it for your own country and you send it out, and it infects everybody in the world, that still is an intentional release because they knew what they were dealing with. They didn't know what it was, maybe, but I believe they did, and I believe Fauci did. I think that everybody on the opposite side of the aisle did. And this was the way to bring in communism. And that's my 2 cents. Your guys' thoughts?
Oh, I firmly agree on that, especially on the Fauci part. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just, well, I mean, I remember the first, I was on my long, enjoying hiatus when it happened. But I remember when I got sent home from work, me and you did a podcast because, well, hey, it's a pandemic. We're under lockdown. What the hell? And
I believe I said the same thing back then, didn't I?
Yes, we both did. We both agreed on it. And that was over a year ago.
I will echo that. With the extent of to extend on that there is actual proof out there that the NIH was funneling money and large amounts of money into the Wuhan lab, and everybody seems to be deaf or ignorant to this, that this actually did happen. And if the NIH under Fauci's administration, that now becomes a much bigger issue than just a national issue, but this now becomes a international crime, and this is a war crime and a crime against humanity, and Fauci should be charged for this as being complicit, along with the leadership of the CCP.
Well, that's not going to happen as long as the communist puppet's in charge.
But this is, you know what, and I can expound on this even farther, that
AKA Dementia Patient 101.
That the very foundation of this disease actually started at 12 universities And once they got it to a certain point, then it was all of their information was then stripped and sent to 7 military bases that could better corral and oversee before it was then broke down to just 3 military bases before that was then sent to the only there was only one place that they could finish the work on this virus, which was only after they had elevated the Wuhan lab from a level 3 biological lab to a level 4. And you can double check that information, Sword Point, if you would like.
No, we're good. I was just feeding the dog. Sorry, I could hear most of it. There may have been some things I didn't hear, but I can't disagree with anything that I heard. So at that point, I think just I guess double down on what you said. I think this was done intentionally because they knew there was no way they could, without collapsing our economy, they had no chance of stealing a certain election.
Right.
Well, this goes actually farther beyond that. What a lot of people fail to realize is how much land China actually owns in the United States.
Yeah, they own lands, they own cattle processing places, meat processing places. Yeah, they own a lot of our infrastructure. And that's what people, they talk about a failure within our own country of, because we're not using our own products. Right. But I do believe we will end up having a war with China. If you ever want to know where the next war comes from, look at who we're funding now.
Yep.
This is information you're probably only going to get between the 3 of us here, that actually know what is going on. God forbid the 3 of us actually got together face to face. What kind of conversation would spark out of that?
We would have a blast. We'd all just talk, drink, and joke around.
I would say I wasn't that far from Sword Point, but I am actually a little bit farther now.
Yeah, and I'm still the farthest away.
Well, yeah, I got a little bit closer, kinda.
Yeah,
you're still on the border of Ohio.
You wouldn't have been farther if the job down in South America happened. So I would have been the farthest away from all of y'all. So it just didn't.
I almost got relocated even farther away for something that I inadvertently said. I almost got sent to Nome, Alaska.
See, I told you your big mouth to get you trouble sooner or later.
Well, hey, I was stationed on Naval Air Station Adak, Alaska it was my last year, 1986 to 87 in the Army. My last year in the Army. Yeah.
That's when it's cold.
It was 87 to 88. I just lied to you. Sorry.
You somebody or somewhere you done screwed up when you get sent to
No, it was because it was for Classic Wizard, Classic with a K.
Yep.
And it was the precursor to what we all know as HARP. So that was the first iteration of HARP.
I'm working on getting back to the mountains. If I can get Sarah to get a transfer to Fort Bragg, I'm all the way in there.
A lot of people don't understand the full iteration of HARP and DARPA and all these private companies, just exactly what they are.
Well, they're private companies, which means they can get away with quite a lot.
Well, it's funny because HARP and Classic Wizard was run by the Air Force, but it's always been near Navy bases. And another funny thing that people don't realize, we were out at sea and there were these blue ships one day. Well, a blue ship. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't ships. And I was like, what the fuck is that ship for? This is why when I was in the Marine Corps. I was on a RIMPAC, I believe. What nation is that? And he goes, oh, it's ours. It's a Air Force ship. And I'm like, huh? It had antennas everywhere.
Not a Tweety bird.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Air Force has ships? Oh, yeah, they have two. One on the Atlantic, and one on the the Pacific. And I'm like, why? That's because in case all the satellites went down, they could still communicate globally. Those ships were rebroadcasting ships. And that's why you have something called MARS, military affiliated radio stations.
Yep.
And that's by ham radio operators. I still tell everybody, get your ham license, keep it current. The easiest way is just subscribe to ARRL, American Radio Relay League.
Yeah, I got to get mine renewed.
Yep.
Yeah, mine will have to be done next year. So I understand. But yeah, I have 6 meter, 2 meter, 10 meter radios because, I can moon bounce. I have military radios, Prick 77, Prick 25. I have it was made by the Marine Corps, multi-power source that I can plug into just about anything. From Israel, I got a certain kind of battery pack that I can put D-cell batteries in. And I can get a certain amount of life out of either of my pricks. And I've got the, SOS kind of kind of thing. So, and then I also have a way to hunt signals from the prick. And then the backpack mount and the antennas. And plus I have an AN292 antenna, 40-foot mast antenna. And I can broadcast. And funny thing is, it works off an FM. You have a very narrow band you're legally allowed to operate on. But the cool part about it is, because of the laws, the way they're written for the FCC, if it bleeds over and goes into people's TVs and radios, and you're still on those legally allowed channels, you have a short area radio system because it'll go through their TVs and it'll go through their fucking radios if they're listening to the right channels or if they're close enough. And so the interesting thing is you can become somebody who gives information within a mile or 2 miles of your area, depending on how much broadcast, and if it's at night, it gets on the skip, just like CB does. CB, I guarantee for both of you, if I'm on a CB at night, the skip will probably hit both of you. You may not get the full conversation, and I tell people, get your radios, get your license first, learn the laws, and plan pirate radio, because there's a famous movie I want everybody to watch. It's called Pump Up the Volume.
Yep, I've watched it.
And Christian Slater's in it. It's probably the only good movie ever made. And that just shows the kind of attitude you have to have, and you also have to have the understanding that you're going to be fucked, but at least you can inform. Yep. And I think with all three of us, the most important thing we do on all of our channels is try to inform the people. Your thoughts, Free, and your thoughts, Drew, brother.
I actually, I have also, I don't have but one military banded radio. I do have multiple radios. I think probably the one that I use more than anything is a broadbanded, a rather powerful old Uniden President Washington. Does have the extra channels in it. Does not
Yep.
have a modulation resistor in it. Dead key does have, because it does have variable power. And open clarifier, AM, upper and lower side band in it. And dead key on that radio, it'll go from about a 16th of a watt all the way up to about 24, 25 watts. Modulated power on AM. On a good day, I can get it just if I set my dead key at about 2 watts, I can get about 50 to 55 watts, but I try not to run it that hot because of what I have sitting on the side. I actually built my own amplifier, running a 4-pill amp, and that one kicks out right around 1500. It was a KL 500 when it started its life. It's now doing about 1500.
Yeah, I have a 5,000 watt amplifier, but that's somewhere that I'm able to get it, but you know what I'm saying,
right,
without saying.
right. Yeah. And then I have my 757, my Yaesu 757. That one, it goes from 0 megahertz all the way up to 1300 gigahertz. It's got every filter and pretty much everything you can possibly do with it. Then I have my Yaesu FT 101 Triple E. That's a tube radio. And that one,
both of them are good radios. They're Yaesus, folks. Listen to her on.
And that one, I actually just got the 6KD6 tubes for that radio. It only took me 2 years to find those. But I actually just found those and got those in the mail yesterday. Haven't got them installed yet. That'll happen probably this evening. And that radio, it is just stupid, ridiculously loud. And then I also have a Browning Mark II old CB, and y'all, you it's unmistakable when you put a Golden Eagle mic on that radio. The tone of that radio, it's unmistakable out there in Skipland. And I'm running most of my comms off of a straight stick. Well, it's not a straight stick. I'm running off of a Mako V 5/8 wave, half over a full wave antenna on a 8-point ground plane, not a 4-point, an 8-point ground plane set exactly to the compass rose.
I exactly get what you mean. Now, with filters that she mentioned, do not use a no-pass filter because that will stop bleed over into radio and TV. If you
I don't use I don't have a low-pass filter on any equipment. I do have what's known as the Devil's Triangle outside on my tower. That's the only filtration because I'm running the 3-point grounding on my tower. That's the only grounding I'm actually running, and that's running the ground from my radios and the coax. Now, my coax, that's another animal that a lot of people don't know about communication. I'm not running Mini 8. I'm actually running 8U fused coax. This is the largest commercial coax, and it's double fused, And it's double
Insulated.
jacketed. Yeah, it's double insulated.
Yep.
And because I do have squirrels and whatnot, but it's fused on the ground and the hot lead.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about lightning. That stuff is about $8 a foot, literally.
Right.
Well,
I will say this for folks to listen to on this, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you know radios, especially for CB. I have a realistic Navajo.
Awesome radio. Got one of those too.
Yep. And that thing's great on the bounce. Get yourself a dipole antenna for it. Everything she said about the coax, use it. She's talking real deal. And I'm also going to say for free, I'm talking to you free. That's not me saying it for free, okay? I'm just saying I'm giving her flowers on this because I had the bands expanded, the side band. There's a lot of work you can do. Just make sure that somebody doesn't have their golden butterfly or butter knives. Actually make sure they know what they're doing. And luckily, everything I had done was by a guy that knew radios like I didn't. And that's for real.
Driver.
Yeah.
And then there's I've got one other radio that I took out of service because of a couple issues. A Megaforce, it's a Delta Force that is I have to find grab it, that was and I forget Magnum was the manufacturer, Magnum Delta Force. That also, it has it is a rather intense radio. The only thing with that one, that's AM, FM, upper and lower sideband, and that radio is a certified monster, quarter watt dead key with a modulation of 80 watts with a stock mic, 80 watts.
That's right. Yeah.
And
yeah, it would be.
That has it. Now, the only difference that separates my Delta from every other Magnum Delta Force out there, I put a heat sink and cooling fan on the back of it, and took the power that ran the weather band that was in it, and I jumped the power from the weather band, because every CB that has a weather band in it, which there is viability in the weather band, the only reason why I chose to take the power and take the weather board out completely was because it was drawing so much power that could be allocated to actual transmission
power, right?
It took the transmission. Had a 30% transmission power reduction. I used some of that power to actually power the cooling fan on the heat sink, and that made the world of difference on this particular radio. I've done this.
Heat sinks are important. People don't understand. I mean, they make these fans and the different types of metals they use for a reason, to get rid of the heat, because radios emit a lot of heat. And that's something important for people to remember. And I'm glad you brought that up, Free. One of the things I'll say to further edify you is a CB. Folks, that'll bleed into people's communications too. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. Now, I will say this, two things. First off, if it's still around, Dave was the guy who owned it, and I hope he's still alive. He was an older gentleman, so he may not be. But Fair Radio in Lima, Ohio, they sell military radios. And if you're a project guy that wants to build radios, or gal, Order your shit from him. He's got tubes galore, all this stuff. Okay, Fair Radio out of Lima, Ohio.
Check that
And
out.
that's military. That's on the military side, but he also has civilian shit. He also has balloons to take antennas up. I mean, he has his shit wired tight if he's still around. But do you notice they took out Radio Shack, which was the number one hobbyist amateur radio place, and then Radio Shack tried to renew itself with carrying, thumb drives and all this different tech for the computer shit. And they shouldn't have done that. They should have just stayed radios, because the best radios I've ever bought, and I'm telling you, except for Yaesu and a couple other brands that Free has mentioned, those are excellent. But Radio Shack specialized in certain things like CB, Citizen Band Radio, having stuff that amateur radio technicians could experiment with, experimenters. They had the little boards where you could make an AM radio and connect the little wire to your sync inbound and get an antenna out of it. And it was powered by a crystal, the same type of crystal we were talking about.
I remember those
earlier. And so, this was stuff for kids to learn and experiment with radios. So, and learn about how to get stuff going.
The biggest secret to every radio, I've played around with many different antennas, and not to squash your thought there, because our Radio Shack just closed out of the blue just a couple months ago. One of the biggest things, as somebody who spent a lot of time out in the middle of nowhere and relied upon long distance communication as a life source, the very biggest thing, you can take a $10 radio and mobile radio, hook it up to a car battery. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on your radio equipment. As far as the transceiver goes, you don't have to spend, and I have thousands of dollars wrapped up in my radio equipment, literally. The biggest and probably the most expensive thing I have, and I'm not ashamed to say it, is, you can you go out and you could spend $500 on a radio, but if you only spend $50 on an antenna, well, you're going to have a $50 unit, basically. If you go out and you spend, there's two different antennas out there that I typically run on my truck. I run 102-inch whip. And there's a reason why I run 102-inch whip, because there is literally only a couple of things that can go wrong. Either A, your ground gets disconnected, or the coax gets cut somewhere in the line. The other antenna that I swear behind is a Wilson 1000 magnet mount. It's one or the other that I run on my vehicles, for the simple fact, and I have tried every Wilson. Now, Wilson makes the very best magnet mount antenna around, bar none. They will beat every antenna out there as far as transmitting and receiving, except for the 102-inch whip. 102-inch whip, I've ran 25,000 watts into 102-inch whip, and I've made it glow.
Well, I'll say this. you're right about transceivers, but for receivers, here's something funny that I noticed. Went to Walmart when I was getting my son back out of Arizona when he was getting, he'd done his time in the Marine Corps and he was getting out, and his family was moving out. So the interesting thing was I wanted to listen to AM radio down there in Arizona. I didn't look at it. I'm in Walmart. And I didn't take my C Crane radio with me. And I thought I did, but I guess I didn't pack it because it was here when I got home. And the batteries were in it, which I never leave batteries in. Anyways, it's a small little radio. It's not that big. And because of the antenna it has, it'll suck in far away, transmissions too. And that's usually the one I'll use. The other one I'll use as a receiver is from Grundig. And both of them have a crank that powers a battery. And now try to find those batteries. You got to go to Batteries Plus and hopefully you'll get it. But C Crane also used to import a spring-powered radio transceiver. And not transceiver, receiver. Let me rephrase that. But it's heavy as hell. So I didn't take that, of course. They used to drop it into places in Africa or South America so they could listen to the radio. Okay? And get news and updates and whatnot. So these things are real. I can't remember the name of that brand because I got it in my Connex. Anyways, my point being is, when you're running AM, there's a skip to it too. And you get fade in and fade out. And AM, because of that, will direct their antennas, i.e. in Columbus, Ohio, 6:10 a.m. at night, as soon as it starts to get dusk, because you have the F1 and the F2 layers coming together to a big F2, and then you have the signal bouncing off the F2 layer, not the F1. There's another 610 in Kansas, so they can't go omnidirectional where it goes all ways. They have to go north-south. And anyways, I've picked that up all the way down to Florida before, intermittently. Okay? I want to be clear. 700 WLW had a 1,000,000-watt license, and they still do. But they didn't want them to use it because they got that license right before the Second World War, and they didn't want the Nazis to hear what Americans were thinking. So imagine that. So they've never employed their full licensing. And they're omnidirectional. I picked up 700 WLW all the way out in Texas. I picked them up in Arizona before. I picked them up in Idaho. They blow that much power. It's a flamethrower. So, like I said, but the one advantage you can get with a receiver is a ferrite antenna. So you have to use a ferrite antenna to get the maximum and less bleed down and up. Okay. So folks, if you're looking for AM, which is where you're going to find news, that's where you want to go. And then the other thing I'd suggest is try to keep it small. The new radios, oh, by the way, even my car radio, I had to have that replaced because it was draining my battery and actually killed my battery. When I got that replaced, though, the AM barely works. And when I bought that radio, I didn't look at it at Walmart. They're selling DVD players with only FM in them now. Make sure you get, and then I when I was with Max, I was like, hey, I got to get an AM transistor, a small radio. You know, I can't hear news. I'm just hearing music. and it was bubblegum shit too. I couldn't get anything else down there. And I even went to an old shop that I thought might have one. He's like, man, I haven't seen those in a couple years. And that's the thing with us old timers. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're young, find yourself a good AM, FM. Sea Crane's about the only place I know that you can still find them. Your guys' thoughts?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, I grew up. My grandfather taught me how to do ham and CBs. Our base CB. We could carry conversation clearly with somebody clear in Texas. Then our ham radios. We were having. My mom was using ham. My mom's from Brazil, so she was actually using ham back in the mid '80s to talk to family in Brazil.
Yep. Or Australia.
Yep.
It's not uncommon to speak to people in Germany. It's not uncommon to speak to people in China. This is reality, folks. Get yourself into ham. Anyway, sorry about that, brother. Didn't mean to. I still got
it all set up at the house, including the antenna. It's not up anymore, but it's not up for a reason because I just had the roof redone, and we kind of moved the CB, base CB, and everything over into the trailer, which is pretty much just a storage unit now.
ARRL, and I got the book, but it's Clandestine Antennas. Have a really good book. That's what it's called, Clandestine Antennas. It takes everything from the OSS handbook. And here's another Hollywood person, Julia Childs.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, she worked for the OSS during the Second World War. And everybody just remembers her as the Galloping Gourmet, except she actually was an operator. Everybody always wants to say females don't do this, that, and the other. There's a lot females do in the skin trade, and that's for real. And anyway, so I just throwing flowers to both of you.
There is so many, in the world of antennas, as times progress and as we move down the line, we're seeing so many bands open that people, my belief, we're seeing a huge migration because let's face it, I live in an area that all the 2-meter repeaters are privately owned, and unless you pay extortionary fees to use them, you're pretty much up that familiar creek. And to get on to a public repeater, I have to drive almost 60 miles to get onto a public access. Now, where a lot of people have migrated to from 2-meter and whatnot, a lot of them have moved to FM and or GMRS, FRS bandwidth because of the privacies issues there. But a lot of people seem to forget that with GMRS, there are certain frequencies within those units that do require, because of the power of the radios that are being made, that do require a license. And a lot of people don't realize those.
You just broke up when you tried to say what it was, and I think you know what you're saying. It's GPS is what happens.
The GMRS radio frequencies.
Right. And they have a GPS lock on them. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, they do. And they don't know that, there is no such thing even those of us who work in various arenas, there is no such thing as a totally secure radio comms. If it travels through the air, it can be picked up by I don't know how many people.
Triangulation units. Yeah,
Well,
and there is one caveat to that. Unless it's a high speed encrypted system that you can only get through the military. And you and I have both probably used that system, but now it's so much better than that one little single screen that you saw when you typed on it, and it was called burst transmission.
Yep.
And,
yeah, I've used them.
Yeah.
But
And
even those can, as we've found, many different people in certain villages. I don't know how many scanners I took off of people that actually had locked into our frequencies and were able to pick up. They were able to pick up bits and pieces. I mean, they weren't able to pick up everything, but they were able to pick up enough of the transmissions to know.
Right. You're talking about frequency hopping.
Yep.
And that's a problem too. Even the 800 megahertz is. And you can get the Bearcats that'll give you everything the police are saying, even though it's encoded.
Yep.
So, everything's a workaround, but burst transmission, because it was sent out and typing, that was the most secure at that time, but it's probably not now.
Nope. And they don't use it either. They don't use it anymore.
No, now we use SINGARs, and it's a derivative of it with embedders and all the other stuff. We're getting so esoteric on this, but I love it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm probably hating this because I'm having such a good time talking about this because it's a passion. Because, look, you have to do three things: move, shoot, and communicate. And those are the three things you have to know.
And you forgot the last one: scoot.
What's that?
You forgot the last one. Shoot, scoot, communicate, and then scoot again before you get your location locked in on and you get lit up.
You're right. You're right completely. And it's move, shoot, communicate, and then move again. No, you're right. But we just kept it simple to move, shoot, communicate, and it was just assumed everybody knew it was move. So thank you for correcting me on that, Free, because this is the benefit. Notice this is a brain trust. And, Drew, Free, and I, we don't know everything. And we may forget something and just assume other people's know. Do not get into that trap. Thank you, Free. I appreciate the correction.
Shit, I enjoy this because I get to sit back, drink my drinks, keep quiet, and enjoy the show.
Cool.
But I also learn a lot when you guys are on.
Keep going, Free. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to interrupt your flow, sister.
There's a lot of times that people they just don't stop and think of all the variables, and that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of I agree with the FM thing and why
get off Twitter.
Shoot, I just got a notification. I missed a credit card payment. I got to address that here in a little bit too.
Get me started on that.
But I'll deal with that in a little bit because I mean we've been going on for I don't know how long, but
don't know, 3 hours or something.
There's so many things that and there's not many times that I will give Uncle Charlie feathers in their hat about opening the FM band up to in 11 meter, which i.e. CB band, opening that up.
Yep.
But and by and large, I don't think that was a situation where they really didn't have a choice, because there were so many converted or 10-meter radios that were out there that have been converted, and they knew that they really didn't have a choice but to open it up and let us use it and let us have it, because the reality is a lot like the free band area above and below channel 40. That's how you get people interested, and you get people wanting to continue this hobby, is you give them a bone, and if they like it, they're going to use it more, and down the road they may utilize that licensing and whatnot a little bit more.
Well, I actually got something to say on this.
Go for it. I got to pull a metal sliver out of my finger.
Mainly because, we all know we're on borrowed time. Even me over here on Sons and Daughters of Liberty. It's just a matter of time before the falling dominoes reach my channel. Now, I have been lucky thus far. I've been lucky pretty much everywhere I'm at. But eventually, I stir the waters quite a little bit and get away with a whole lot of the things I say. Especially when I'm not being behaved. Which is, it's the rebel side of my family. You'll blame it clear down to the ancestor that signed the Constitution. He was the true rebel of the family. What's so important about ham radios, CBDs? CBDs, yeah, I've had too much to drink. CBs. I know I've had too much to drink. I just seen I misspelled Tim Pool's name on Twitter. I spelled time. Neither here nor there, but beside the point. Everybody talks about censorship. And we deal with censorship every day, and it's brutality. What happens when they finally decide to pull the plug on all of us? Well, I've stated this, and I don't think people understand or understood what I say when I say this. You can't nuke my channels. You can't stop me. Why? Because I have access to ham radios, CBs. Yes, I might not have it updated my license, but they call it piracy for a reason. You're not going to stop me. You could shut down the whole damn internet. You could even shut down the damn power, and you won't stop me. That's the reason you guys should really focus and get into learning about CBs, hams, and everything that Bree and Swordpoint and I have just discussed, because it's the ultimate backup plan. It's something they can't shut off.
Unless they physically take it or cut your cable. That's right.
And which is even harder when you're mobile. Of course, I was an expert back in the 90s of playing some CB tag. And let me tell you, don't fuck with the truckers. They win.
Oh, them boys will triangulate on your ass. You're right.
Yeah. We found out the hard way one night.
They look for signal strength and they start, this motherfucker's between us. Let's move our vehicles a little closer and let him know. And say, fucker, we got you.
Uh-huh. Or have to pull into the restaurant that you decide to stop and eat at.
See, that is where having the advantageous resources of ridiculously, obnoxiously loud and strong radios. And because I live out in the middle of nowhere, where a lot of times cell phones are nothing more than a paperweight. Um, and you have a lot of deep valleys that run for miles that only CBs and ham radios get out of. Sometimes law enforcement radios don't even get out of some of those valleys and
Hollers.
hollows that only the most ridiculously, obnoxiously loud radios actually get out of, that you can't really go by that signal strength meter with a lot of radios, because if you have a unit that is capable of transmitting 40 to 120 watts of power, um, I might be 3 miles away from you, or I might be 300 yards behind you. Either way, because of the strength of the radio, your RF meter is literally useless, because my signal is going out so strong that it's pointless for you to try to triangulate me, because my signal just bounces all over the place. It's kind of pointless. And
I
then
love
there's
what you.
and then you have the fact that my base, I have the ability that I can take, like my Washington, I can throw that in my vehicle. And I have done this playing radio tag, um, where I will throw my base in the car, and there's no way in hell that you can triangulate me at that point at all, because I'm just like obnoxiously loud then.
I love what you're saying on that, but like with the Navajo, it's capable from being a base at the
And a
house
mobile.
and a mobile,
Yep.
and that's about 20 watts, and it'll go out to 14 miles, and you know this, and I know this. Naked, without a juice, but the problem is, truckers start looking for antennas because they know it's a car normally that's fucking with them. And so the SWR meter, as it swings, they're looking for cars. Not, and me and my brother Andy, I'm not going to say his last name. I was about to say it. Sorry, guys. When I was young, we listened to all the movies and stuff, and we just thought, they would always say, "Hey, Breaker 1-5 or 1-9 or whatever, good buddy," and we thought, good buddy was just what truckers said, but we weren't fucking with them, honestly. And I'll never forget, this one guy goes, "Oh, so you're good buddies?" I said, "Yeah, man, we've been friends. We're going through high school." And this dude hits a sideband and said, "Go to this. Do you got sideband?" And we did. He goes, "Man, don't say that no more." He goes, "That's homosexuals trying to get dick." And we were both like, "What?" So, a lot of this is phraseology that you can only learn from the culture. But we were so young at that time, we didn't know. We're just going out there playing on the CB when I was first learning. So, you can accidentally present a false face. And so that's the other thing I'll warn people about, is just don't take from the movies, because Hollywood's so corrupted. Don't take from the movies that's the truth, because I guarantee you it's not. Because that was an eye opener to me and to Andy. We both were like, "Huh? What the fuck?" And we just didn't know. And that's the whole thing. Don't if you're gonna start getting into ham and stuff, learn what 73 means, which is greetings. 73 is just greetings. Learn a different phraseology because that's important, and it's not the same as military speak, but the phonetic alphabet's still the same as it is in the military. That's why.
I didn't know about 73 being a greeting. That actually has 73 is being a greeting. That actually has esoteric meanings.
I don't know about all that. I'm just saying
it's a greeting. But it dates back clear to like late 1800s, early 19.
Okay, I trust you on that. I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but
well, it's just the way that they talk on ham radio, and it's not on CB. But just don't say good buddies. I know that for a fact.
There's a few terminology you don't say on the radio.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to get to, man. I mean, there's normalization, but you don't want a bastardization your thought process. Right. So that's kind of important, I think.
That is actually very important.
For the people out there, and then learn their terminologies like lot lizards. Well, that's prostitutes that hang out at rest stops and stuff like that. Just avoid that. I would tell this to people. Never stop at a rest stop anywhere in the U.S. because police, Ohio State Police, they're not police. Ohio State Highway Patrol have the highest recovery rate of stolen vehicles. You know why? People stop at rest stops. They don't go and drive a little further and get gas somewhere and park there because the Highway Patrol it's illegal constitutionally. They run every plate in a rest stop.
Yep.
And that's how they get that.
So do I.
That's how they get that number.
My first job was out on the turnpike.
Folks, I gotta
go on with that.
I gotta bounce. I gotta go take care of my card problems. We're gonna have to get together and do this again, the three of us, and
maybe we'll do it on my channel free.
Yeah, I'd love to.
It's been a while since I got to sit on that couch.
Yeah, I'd like to hop on that illustrious couch. I know you've had some pretty dignified names on that couch.
Yeah, people I've met in my life, but I hold you guys in the same regard. I'm a real person, but you guys already know this. So we've talked long enough, and we've built a friendship, and it's always so good getting together with you guys, and I mean that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a while now.
Yeah, we were just talking about that couple weekends ago. We were like, damn, where the hell's Sword Point?
It's like we finally got Mr. A on for a little bit, about a month ago.
Right?
Oh, man. Mr. A, I've been trying to get a hold of him. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, just keep him in your prayers.
Yep.
That's all that I can say. Just keep him in your prayers.
Always will. Always will. I do with everybody I care about, including Jaffe, you guys, every one of you guys.
Yeah, it's almost impossible now for me to listen to anything from Pirate Radio Podcast because I'm at work. Or
I know, and it's
like 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
It's been a problem for me too. I've been able to bounce in, and one time he had me on, and he gets into things, and all of a sudden, I was like, I gotta go. I sent him a message saying, I gotta go to sleep, man. It's too late. It's just, it is what it is, my friend. And there was no ill will. I was just like, man. And he's like, well, you hung up right when I was going to you. I was like, it's the end of the show. You know, when I listened back, I was like, brother, I told you I was sleepy, and I was just hanging. So,
Yeah, that little
but I
time
love him.
difference is can be killer for us over here in the United States. Wow, I remember
Hell
that
yeah.
short stint I was
Well,
co-hosting while you were away.
Free, you go ahead and handle your stuff, girl. And you know we all love you. And we can close this out, or he can close it out, whatever he wants to do. All right?
Yeah, I love you too, brother.
I'll let you guys. I'll let you guys.
Yeah, y'all know how to get a hold of me. I'm pretty much everywhere. It's the same ID, pretty much everywhere. Remember, coming into the holiday season, we always lose a lot of veterans. Seems to be a lot more this time of the year. So, remember to watch
Truth.
over, to check in on your vets, especially those that are single or newly single. Remember to watch over them. Remember that at one time they wrote an open check to this country, and we owe that to them. I wrote an open check. My oath doesn't expire, and
Ditto.
you know, so it when people reach out for help, it's my responsibility to always be there. So, let's remember our wounded and those who have come back and they have an issue. Exactly, Drew. I don't have that number pulled up. But it's if you're finding yourself in a very dark place, it's not a sin to reach out for help. 1-800-273-8255. Once again, that number's
True.
1-800-273-8255. It's not a disgrace.
True. And if it's not a disgrace, and let me tell you, the brother that got you through it, or sister, reach out. And like last night at a little after midnight, can't remember the exact time, I'd be lying to you. I had a brother call up, and I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, which was positive. He had Snoop Dogg on. And Snoop Dogg, I couldn't believe the words I was hearing out of his mouth. It was beautiful. And it was so fun to listen to that kind of positivity. And then all of a sudden he calls, and I'm like, cool. What's up, man? And he says this, that, and the other. And I'm like, all right. And I hung up with him at 5 or maybe 6 in the morning, close to 6 in the morning. I think it was 5:41. Yeah, it was when I hung up. Be there for your brother or sister. Always. Never. No backstabbing. No back talking. Listen. It's not about you. It's about them at that point. Give the best advice you can. Be honest. Don't be brutal. Be honest and loving and caring. Because the man who got you through it might be the man that's asking you for help. And that's all I have to say on that one. Thank you, guys. On that.
Always remember, we are brothers and sisters keepers.
Amen.
We're just humans, and we're living that human experience. Enjoy it while you can, because you only die once. There is no twice.
You know, there's a lot of people, and I've been very fortunate. I've served with the very best men and women that chose to put on that uniform. I've been very blessed.
Me too.
Many countries
Me too.
over
But
here.
even those people you and I both know, including myself at one time. If you remember, KMC had to come back and clear my ass. Um, you know, we all fell at some point. There's a breaking point for everybody, and I mean, it's no dishonor. I've been that guy. I'm sure you've been that gal. I'm sure Drew's been that guy. Reach out. There is no shame to it. The cool thing was KMC was like, where you at? And I said, blah, where I was at, where I live. And he goes, can you meet me somewhere? And he asked me about a certain airport. And I said, yep. And we camped out. And within 3 days, I was a different person. Those that got you through it will get you out.
My wheels are always ready to roll. You know, my phone don't never shut off, and I ain't afraid to roll. You know, that's the difference.
Yep.
You know,
It's the personal touch, sister. It's the personal touch. Not touch physically, but
right.
You know, conversation. Everybody knows what I mean. You know.
But until we do this again, folks, with the holiday season coming up, I'll probably be a little bit more present over on mine. Probably either tomorrow or as this verdict comes in, I might actually even figure out a way to stream it. We'll see what happens. But until then, folks, take care of yourself. Take care of your family, whether you love them, you hate them, whatever. Take care of your family, your friends, your loved ones. Even that grumpy old fart down the end of the block, whether you like them or not. You never know when your life might depend upon them. Till we meet again, take care of yourself. God bless. Y'all take care. High salute to one and all. Free spirit, prepping and news. We out.
Love you.
Love you too.
All right.
Well, it's nice to have you on again. It's been a while.
Yeah, brother. So we're no longer streaming?
Oh, we're still streaming.
Oh, cool. I didn't know. I wanted to make sure. It changed a little bit in the perspective somehow on this thing, so I didn't know. So, what do you want to talk about now?
I actually like it over.
We had such a good time. Yep, this honestly was such a great liberating, I think, for the American people to realize it's not just computers. It's not just bullshit. It's you can communicate with the world and be yourself. Be real as we are. You know, this is the love. I believe this is the love. Your thoughts, brother?
Oh, I fully agree. You know, sometimes it takes an old school perspective to educate the younger ones.
Right.
You know, just like things we talked about tonight, things me and you've talked about in the past on your channel. You know, it all correlates. It's all education.
I agree. It's amazing to me. You know. Wow.
Like I know you and Bree have served. I haven't. but I'm currently with somebody that is currently deployed. So now I get to live that lifestyle that a lot of my friends have lived, having to deal with their family or loved ones being deployed. It's like, well, now I get it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. We need to be making positive videos.
Yes.
All of us do. Well, it's not just this time of the year. No matter what they push at us, we need to let them know we're not buying it. Fuck yeah. We know what we're doing.
Plenty of those videos here of late.
Yo, I know that. I guarantee there is. So,
I mean, don't make me come out of retirement.
Huh?
As I got them saying, don't make me come out of retirement. I've already stated. My toolbox is wide open. I'm ready to play.
Yeah, but let's play smartly. That's the whole thing I was trying to get to was they're trying to force something where they can vilify people.
Exactly. And that's how I felt. They're stating that there's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it. You got to be smart about it.
It's always about making people into categories, easily to group.
Yep.
But community is harder to group.
Yes, it is.
Because they don't know. If you're not taking your cell phone or if you've got one of Alex Jones's little bags that make your cell phone untrackable, or other manufacturers that make those small cell phone Faraday cages, you don't have to get it from InfoWars, but he does make a good one, trust me. You disappear because that cell phone's your tracking device.
Damn right it is. I can prove it. Well, yes.
I can too.
For some odd reason, my share screen's not working over here right now. But I've got it saved. Google. This is literally how bad it is on your cell phones. Because I do periodically keep my tracker, on for location. Especially now that I'm traveling 2 hours to work. Important to have weather information, traffic information.
Right.
So it's on constantly. And oh my God. The timeline that Google sent me for the places I've been, everywhere, there's no such thing as privacy.
No, there's not.
I mean, everywhere. Any spot I've stopped at, gas station, every little town, back road.
Yep.
No. If I'm going somewhere, I've always stayed a distance. We still kind of practice amongst my little circle. Is we got something important to say? Well, we're going out in the holler, and our phones ain't coming with us.
Well, here's how I look at it: is I'll throw my phone sometimes in different vehicles that I'm probably not in.
Yep.
I want them to chase ghosts because I know how to move. But see, that's a whole different skill set, and that stuff people need to realize.
Yep.
They may even mark your car. So,
I've got more than one and a couple that aren't in my name.
There you go. And just alternate routes. Make a lot of right turns. And notice anything that's... Look, I did a whole different show on gang stalking and being paranoid versus being situationally aware. And just like I've told people, if you're in a grocery store and somebody's targeting you or you feel you are being, make some right turns down different aisles and keep going right. If they're following you, they'll keep following you. People are animals.
Yes.
And if you're in their crosshairs, and then you're going to be able to identify. And don't be ashamed to go up to the general office desk at Kroger or Walmart or whatever, and then just say, "Can you call the police?" Because dude will probably be right behind you.
Yep.
Just don't say it really loud. And or girl, dude or girl, doesn't matter which. And then you go, cool. And then you just wait like you're asking the question. And usually you can handle it that way. If they follow you out of that controlled area, you're Dunsky. You'll end up in the back of a van with somebody saying, "Was that a big fat gal?" You know, I'm talking about Silence of the Lambs, right? You know, I'm joking. Okay. Was she a big fat gal? After he was acting like, "I can't get this couch out. Can't get this couch out." Senator's wife. Yeah. See how that works?
Yeah, I think they got learned the lesson the last time they played that game with me.
Yeah, it's just stupid, man. Just be honest and be real. Anyways, brother, we've had a good time.
Yep.
I do have to crash.
Oh yeah, I'm not far from it. I've been upset.
I got up at like, I don't know. I was up till like 6, and I got up at like 10 because a bro messaged me and wanted me to do a show with him, which was fine. And I'd love to tell you the name of his show, but I can't remember it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find out what it is. Hold on. Maybe I can. Give me 1 second. Fuck. It's not there now. Hold on. Let me go to Skype. Give me a sec. Sorry about that, brother.
Oh, it's okay.
I want to find the name of his show. See if I can see it. Oh, it's going to want to play it. Let me cancel it. I don't know the name of it. It was actually, it's funny for me because it's an anarchist channel, but Sean and I have known each other probably about as long as you and I have. And he's a really good dude. It's sort of like talking to certain people, you know? So.
And there's actually a couple that I follow. Well, one's the anarchist.
Huh?
There's a couple of anarchist channels I follow. One's actually called the Anarchist.
No, this guy's just really a good dude. He just has the philosophy of an anarchist, which I can't disagree with 99% of what he says. But, I mean, I would even disagree with you on some things. Like, I'll use, it's sold at Super America everywhere in Ohio. Nature Script CBD heat relief spray, 125 milligrams of CBD per bottle. And it gives me relief for my knees and my joints.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a believer in it. Now, if it was marijuana stuff, remember I told you I tried marijuana one time when I was 14, and it put me to sleep. Luckily, there was nobody taking pictures of me, and there was no internet where they're drawing dicks on my face and shit. Or writing insert dick here and an arrow to my mouth. So I didn't have to worry about that back in the 80s. But I did fall asleep. Yeah, if that happened now, motherfuckers be brutal to old Kaiser. But the funny thing is I just never did it again. I didn't like it. You know, put me to sleep where a 6-pack of Schaefer's beer back in the day cost the same amount as a joint. And I was like, I would have had a great time if I would have just drank beer, but somebody was like, buy a joint and we'll smoke it. And I bought one at school. And now I know more about it, but I still don't want to do it. But CBD oil, this heat relief spray, works on my thing, on my knees and other joints.
Oh,
so
you tell me, I testify to that. I'm a firm believer in the CBD. In fact, I got one of our line leads. He's anti.
And it's not marijuana.
No, I know that's specifically he goes,
not at all.
He's like, I took your advice. I finally got to see. Well, no, I'm not going to say what the full conversation on that. I'm going to leave that private. But he finally got some, and he took it. He's like, man, I wish I would have listened to you guys sooner. You guys are right. I mean, man, the aches and pains. I'm like, yeah. That which reminds me, probably why I got CBD on the brain, because I need to get some. But I'm not familiar. I've seen a couple here where I'm at, but they don't look like they're open or what. And I don't know. I'll just go to back when I'm in Ohio again, and next time I'll.
Well, just go to a Super America and get their CBD heat relief, brother. I'm telling you, you'll love it.
My problem with CBD, well, my problem is just like everything, alcohol or weed. When I smoke weed, I build up a tolerance for this shit so fast. It's like I gotta take long breaks from it. Yeah.
No, I get that, but not with CBD. Not for your. It's a direct spray on. Just if you smoke, hold whatever hand you smoke with and spray with the other one behind your back.
Okay.
The other hand, because this stuff has, the difference is this stuff has cayenne pepper and some other peppers in it. And that's the heat relief. And it's just heat. There's no cool. And it lets your blood flow really good. And it eases all the pain. And the other thing I would suggest is this glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM. And you can buy that from Kroger, joint support, dietary supplement. So those are the two things I use. And it works. From all the going up and down mountains and falling out of things that I shouldn't be falling out of, but I'm supposed to. That's been a blessing.
Yeah,
and
sucks.
I'm in my mid-50s, so
I'm reaching I'll be mid-40s. Well, close to mid-40s. Mid-40s, might as well say. In December, so.
Start treatment now.
I've been feeling it. Especially that since I've been almost 9 months off CBDs.
I know you deal with it, but I'm just saying it makes life easier.
Yes, it does.
So that way you're not in the pharmaceutical train. I think the CBD heat relief is 25 bones, and I can't see the price on this stuff. It was marked down.
Actually,
it was a great deal.
Amazing honey. That's CBD.
Huh?
I've got some amazing CBD infused honey right now. That I don't do it all the time because the little jar is expensive. But I'll occasionally mix it in my coffee in the mornings. Oh my God, it's like instant relief.
Well, that's a problem because I don't drink coffee. So.
Oh, it goes good in tea too.
Yeah.
I drink tea, so.
My caffeine comes from Diet Pepsi, brother. And that's got aspartame and everything else in it. So I get where you're going to come from at me, but I understand it completely.
I can't say anything. My dad's diabetic. He already flat out told the doctors, I'm not giving up my pop. I'm giving up everything else. I'm not giving up my pop.
Yeah.
I'll take breaks from pop every now and then. I'll give up my alcohol before I give up my pop.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. Well, I love you.
Yeah,
and it was great talking to you and Free.
It's great having you both, you guys, on. It's like I said, it's nice being able to sit back and be kind of quiet for once, enjoy my drinks, listen, interaction, chat. I don't get to do that often.
It was really good. The only person missing was WPRPN.
And Mr. A.
It was like old times.
Yep.
All
I
right.
thoroughly
Love you
enjoy when I
guys.
get Mr. Anderson on.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be an epic program. Me, you, Mr. A, Free,
Jaffe.
and if we could, Jaffe. Yeah, that would be an
That would be an
excellent.
awesome podcast. That would be
Yeah.
an epic podcast, actually.
Because we don't have to agree with each other, yet we still love each other. It's so funny, the mix we have.
Honestly, that's what's needed. People need to see that people with different opinions, views, and backgrounds can all congregate on the same podcast, get along, and have these great topics that, I mean, our topics are broad, but we're not arguing with each other. We might disagree from here and time to time, but we're still friends at the end.
Yeah, we might even argue a little bit, but we're not going to be like, fuck you, motherfucker. You know. Anyways,
Right.
do you want to close it out and I can mute, or do you want me to just hang up? It's your choice.
If you want, give out your where they can, everybody can find you. I'm pretty much just going to close out. Because I know everybody knows I'm everywhere. So, I mean, it's either Sons and Daughters of Liberty or SDOL, 1776. Yeah, I've had too much to drink. But I'm everywhere. I'm Sword Point 9. Well, that's all you need to know. Find him on Rumble, sometimes on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed. And like we said, it is, you know, information for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. We used to call it Hotline. It's Lifeline now. Is listed in the very end of the chat, along with the website, 1-800-273-8255, I think. And, you know, we've lost enough people over the years. If you need someone to talk to, reach out. You know, each and every one of us, you know, my DMs are open. Those of you have my phone number is accessible. Don't be afraid to call, text. I'll get with you. But in the end, remember, it's about each of us as brothers and sisters. I don't view you by race or color, religious background, nothing. We are all brothers and sisters, and we're all each other's keeper. You guys all have a good night. Enjoy your weekend, and be safe. Until the next one, which will be tomorrow night, by the way, my normal Sunday podcast. I will see you guys there then, and I'll probably be a little bit more sober.
Love all, serve all. Bye, brothers and sisters.
Okay. Safe and stubborn.
Much love, brother. I'm out of here.
All right, I'll chat with you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Gotta figure out why my live stream's not stopping. Well, in the meantime, I'll try to figure out how to get this live stream to stop. So it's not stopping. Guess I'll chat with you until I get it to stop. And no, I ain't that drunk. I'm hitting stop live stream and it's not stopping. Are you sure you would like to stop live streaming? Yes, stop live stream. That must be broke. Okay, so there's a glitch in the live streaming. I actually might have to log on to the app through the phone and stop it that way. Huh, imagine that. Unless there's something I forgot to say that I should be talking about. I'm going to mute myself, guys, so I don't get a feedback when I jump in on the mobile. Yeah, welcome back. For some odd reason, I can't end the live stream. Yeah. Oh, that's annoying. Laugh it up while you can. It's literally not letting me stop the live stream. Not even from my phone. All right, let me... Okay, this is like super weird. I cannot stop the live stream. Yeah, very strange. I've never had this happen. I'm gonna try leaving the gathering app.